Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. Today we will see what if female Naruto daughter of Shanks. Full movie. If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. Leaf Village 6 years after the Kyuubi attack, 9 at night. Get the little demon, he went this way. Shouted a villager chasing after a young boy with blonde spiky hair as bright and gold as the very sun and blue eyes that would make the various oceans of the Grand Line jealous. He was clothed in what looked to be some beat-up black shorts and a black t-shirt with a orange swirl in the middle. Shit, Naruto thought as he ran through the village using his parkour skills he had developed from running from the villagers. Though to him it was running as fast as he could, unaware he was actually channeling chakra into his body, forcing it to move faster. He eventually got to a strange place he'd never seen before. He looked to his right and saw a strange stone with names on it. He was about to read some of them but heard villagers coming closer and closer. When they saw him he started to take off. "What the hell is wrong with you people?" said the little boy before he was stopped by a bat to the side of his head, cracking his skull courtesy from a villager that had snuck up behind him. "Ah, got the little shit," shouted another man as the villagers began surrounding the boy. "Why?" the little boy barely croaked out before black consumed his vision as he fell unconscious. That didn't mean the villagers stopped. Oh no, that was just the begging. After about an hour viciously beating the boy, the crowd began to disperse, except for about 3 men that were not quite done with the boy. "So what do you think we ought to do with this little shit?" said one of the villagers, looking at the body of the boy thinking he was dead. "Hell, we can't leave it here. If Sarutobi found his body he would stop at nothing to find us. The old monkey is a demon lover after all," said another man as the others nodded, knowing it to be the truth. He looked at the river close by and an idea struck him like the bat he used to hit the boy over the head with. "Let's toss his little ass in the river and let him be washed away." "Perfect, come on," said the other as they grabbed his body, tossing his body in and watching it flow downstream. They didn't notice the body turn over and the boy taking some light breaths. Half an hour later, in the forest of death, a hand grasped the side of the bank and slowly pulled himself up as he flipped onto his back in pain, taking in painful breaths, letting him know his ribs were at least cracked if not broken. Why does it always happen today?" the boy said and began to slowly sniffle and cry while he was laying down in the dirt. That abruptly stopped as he heard a voice in his head. "Enough crying, boy," said a phantom voice. What? Who's there?" the boy struggled, turning his head looking for the voice. "Close your eyes and focus on my voice, boy," said the phantom voice. Naruto did as instructed and soon found himself inside a sewer with water to his knees. He looked around, then saw giant bars. Straining his eyes he then saw 2 giant orbs of red with a black slit in the middle. Then it hit him. Holy shitballs. Are those eyes? He shouted in his head. Or would that be his inner head of his head? It reminds me of Inception. What are you?" he asked, shocked to his core at the massive eyes he was looking at. Then the beast came out of the shadows and showed his full size. About the size of a mountain, maybe a bit bigger. "I am the Kyuubi, and due to that little Sharingan bastard, your father was forced to seal me inside you," said the mountain of a fox. "Wait, you said my father sealed you? But I thought you were supposed to be dead?" Naruto said in shock. "Do I look dead to you?" "No, obviously not, but I am not here to tell you such irrelevant things. I am here to give you a chance at a new life, a new beginning, if you will. I will send you to a place where no one will hate you because of me, and the glares and beating will stop for the most part, one I'm sure," said Kyuubi, shocking the boy with hope-filled eyes. "Now, what do I have to do? Please, I'll do anything," said the little ray of sunshine with hope-filled eyes. "Rip off the seal, my boy, and I will do this for you. I give you my word as a demon fox," said the beast. As Naruto ran up to the seal being lifted up by water to the seal and began tearing it off until it was completely gone as the bars disintegrated and the fox walked up towering of Naruto. Then he felt the presence of 2 people behind him and a warm embrace from behind. "Minato, Kushina, good to see you both again, old friends," said Kyuubi as Naruto turned around in the people's grasp to see his father, the 4th Hokage, and a beautiful red-haired woman he could only assume to be his mother. "T2-san, K-Ka-san?" Naruto stuttered out as he was held in a vice-like grip and he heard the beautiful voice of his mother. "That's right, Naru-kun," said Kushina as she looked Naruto over and smiled. "You're such a cutie pie, just like your dad was when he was your age," said Kushina with blushing Minato to the side doing his happy dance in his head. What happened? How come you two left me? Naruto said a bit teary-eyed. Minato and Kushina both looked at Naruto heartbroken as Minato then looked Naruto in the eyes. Naruto, you must understand there were forces at work that we could not predict. There was man the night of your birth that attacked and was able to stay a step ahead of in every move I made. In the end I almost lost to him, but I was able to kill him with my Rasengan. Okay, full-blown Rasengan to your back would not only snap your spine like a twig but would turn your insides into mush, especially by its creator, and a pissed-off one at that. But the damage was already done and Kyuubi was in a state of panic, so I had to use the Reaper Death Seal to seal him inside of you. When I tried, he attacked in panic of being sealed, and who could really blame someone for not wanting to be sealed up again, but he ended up hitting me and Kushina-chan with one of his claws piercing us. Please Naruto, don't blame Kyuubi. Naruto then nodded his head to everyone's surprise. It's okay, I understand. He then smiled at the Kyuubi. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but neither of your wishes were completed. If anything, the exact opposite happened, said the Kyuubi as he showed the two all the memories of their son, which brought them to tears, constantly apologizing to the little blonde boy. I am so sorry, my son, said Minato as he was shaking with anger as he held onto his wife and son in a vice-like grip with tears forming in his eyes. It's all right, Toussaint. Now I know why you sealed him inside me, Naruto said looking at the Kyuubi. And I know you had a good reason to, and plus he's a really guy or a fox. Definitely one of the nicer people I've met, and he's going to send me to a place where I can have a fresh start. Now that caught Minato and Kushina's as they looked at the Kyuubi with a look that said, explain or you'll be the no-tailed fox. Kyuubi's sweat dropped a bit at the look he was getting. Whoa, calm down you two. You both saw the life he lived here. I'm going to send him to another world where no one will know of me and he will be free to choose his own path. Naruto already agreed with me and I'll be there to watch for him, so you won't have to worry about him too much. The Kyuubi said, hoping not to be on the receiving end of these two. Alright Kyuubi, as long as Naruto wants this, right Naruto? Said Kushina as she looked to see him nodding happily. Well then, before we go Naruto, since we don't have that much time, we are going to impart some knowledge on you with some of our skills. Okay? Said Minato as Naruto nodded, a bit sad at hearing they would have to go. Kushina and Minato both put a hand of theirs on a shoulder of Naruto as they channeled some of their knowledge into Naruto. Kushina channeled her knowledge and skills of her swordsmanship into Naruto, along with some things to know about the sea and a couple of water just in case he needed it, since she was from a place surrounded by water she had learned a bit as a little girl. She also gave Naruto a quick how on being a gentleman to the ladies. Minato put some of his training methods for chakra control and wind elemental training, since he could tell Naruto would at least have that element. He also imparted some sealing knowledge, just enough to make some storage seals and maybe some explaining on explosive seals. What, that's a lot of stuff I just learned, Naruto said as he looked up to his smiling parents, as they leaned down and kissed both his cheeks and hugged him. Naru-chan, remember, find a girl like your Ka-san, said Kushina as Minato spoke up. And become strong man like your old man was, and no matter what path you choose we will always support you no matter what. We believe in you and above all else. Then they both looked at him and said in unison, we love you with all our hearts. As the slowly started to fade away, I love you to Ka-san Tou-san, and it'll make you proud and show this new world what Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze can do. Naruto yelled with tears streaming in his eyes, as he watched them slowly disappear. Thank you Kurama. My name is Kurama. I only give my name to those I trust, boy, and with what I have seen you go through and to still be loyal to the one that caused it, you truly are Kushina's child. Said Kurama as he grinned a bit, seeing the $1 million smile on Naruto. Does that mean we're friends? Yay kid, I guess it is. Now get some rest, cause after tomorrow we're blowing this ramen stand, said Kurama with grin of his own. Next night, Forest of Death. Naruto now had on a black hoodie with a red swirl on its back and a red stripe going down each sleeve. He had on black and white camouflage khaki pants with black ninja sandals. His hoodie was off, showing his excited face as he was ready to leave to this new world, as he picked up his black backpack, like Ace's, just black, where he had a couple of scrolls with food and clothes sealed inside, also a couple wind jutsu scrolls he had stolen, since that was what his dad showed him in his memories. Alright kid, keep a good grip on that bag cause we're outta here. Kurama yelled as Naruto was consumed in a bright light that lit up the whole forest. As he smiled, Naruto could see light flashing past him as he then began to feel like he was falling faster and faster. He tightened his grip on his bag as he saw a brighter light at the end of the tunnel of lights coming towards him. East Blue 3 p.m. And just like that, Naruto was falling from the sky and all he saw was blue, all ocean everywhere. Ah! Naruto was screaming like he was a banshee as he plummeted towards the ocean. He then saw what looked to be a black thing. Naruto, try and aim your body towards that thing. I think that's a ship and you need to get on unless you want to drown in this ocean. Hurry, said Kurama with a sense of urgency. Naruto then did as he was told and tried to move his body where he was going towards the ship. Though he missed by a sum, he still go in the general vicinity of the ship. Naruto slammed into the sea, creating a giant splash. As he went deeper into the sea, he smacked a weird scaled object. As he looked at what he hit, his eyes widened the size of dinner plates as he saw a giant sea monster. It must have been the size of the whole Hokage building and then some. He was without a shadow of a doubt scared shitless. Holy shit, he yelled as bubbles came from his mouth. He kicked off the creature, going to the top of the water as fast as he possibly could. Eventually he finally broke the surface, taking a deep breath as he looked around and saw the giant creature also breach the surface, towering over him. Holy shit, I'm gonna die, he said as the creature let out a mighty roar and was coming down to devour the boy. Just then the creature's head got impacted by big black flying ball and exploded on impact, knocking said creature back into the ocean. Oi, kid, grab the rope. Naruto turned to see a rope fly right in front of his face as he grabbed the rope with both hands while hanging onto his backpack. He felt the rope tug and pull as he was being pulled closer to the ship. As he began to get pulled up onto the ship, he grabbed onto the railing and fell over the side onto the ship deck. Naruto fell onto his hands and knees, breathing hard as let go of his bag. What was that thing? That kid was a sea king and pretty small one though. Naruto looked up to the voice to see sandals, some brown pants with a weird yellow design on them, then a red sash around his waist holding a sword on his right side. This followed by a white button-up shirt with some buttons undone from the top, a black long-sleeved trench coat that the guy didn't have his arm in, he just let it hang off him like a cape. It covered his left side so you couldn't see his left arm. And then finally Naruto looked up to see the man with red hair and 3 slash marks going across his face. He looked around, seeing a man with black hair, a black v-neck t-shirt with a yellow sash around his waist holding a weird-looking thing on his right side. He had white pants and black boots. He then saw a rather round man with round glasses eating a piece of meat he had. The man had a green and white striped shirt with matching bandana on his head with white pants and red shoes. Then he saw a dirty blonde curly-headed man with dreads, and, not sure what to call his hairstyle, just look him up if you want to get a better idea, and bandana wrapped around his forehead with the name Usopp on it. He had on a blue button-up shirt that had a few buttons undone from the top and gray pants and brown shoes. Naruto noted he was kind of funny looking too. Thanks for saving me back there, I really appreciate it. I'm Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze by the way, Naruto said, getting up and putting his hand out to shake Shanks's hand. Shanks accepted and shook his hand, looking at the little kid with interest and started giggling like a little kid. Fishcake? Your name is Fishcake, ha ha ha. Shanks started bursting out laughing as Naruto grew a tick mark. Oi, it means maelstrom, you bum, Naruto yelled in frustration. Hey kid, don't blow a gasket, I was messing with yay. The name is Shanks by the way, and these are my crewmates, he said, gesturing to the crew around him, then pointed to the man with a black ponytail. That's Ben Beckman, my first mate. Right now you're on the red-haired pirate ship Mr. Maelstrom, Shanks said mockingly, bringing another tick onto Naruto's head. But what I want to know is what a kid like you is doing out in the middle of the East Blue, Shanks said, getting a little more serious, which put Naruto on guard. You probably wouldn't believe me if I told you, and some of it's kind of personal. I don't want everyone to know about my past, Naruto said, and got an amused grin from Shanks and his crew. Well then how about you just talk to me? Ben, Rue and Usopp, I'll personally vouch for each one of them. Not that I wouldn't for my whole crew, but it's somewhere to start with, Shanks suggested. Naruto looked at them all a little skeptically. Oi Kurama, should I trust these guys? Naruto though in his head. Yay kid, I can sense evil or foul intent. This man has neither of those, and I can honestly say this man holds the same aura as your mother, you can trust him. said Kurama as Naruto nodded internally. He then looked up to Shanks and nodded. Alright kid, come on to my captain's quarters, we can talk in private there, Shanks said as he led the bunch into his quarters and offered Naruto a seat, where he accepted and looked as the group sat around the room ready to listen to his story. Naruto told them about his past in the village and being kicked out of the orphanage, only almost get beaten to death on his 5th and 6th birthday, not to mention the other times he was beaten or mistreated. It was safe to say the men were pissed. No, beyond pissed. If they had it their way they would go and raze the Leaf Village to the ground. The aura coming from the men in the room were downright deadly. He then went on to tell them about the fox in his gut and how he got to meet his parents at least one time. He said he wanted to get strong so he could protect himself and his precious people. He went on to say he wanted to make a name for himself and that he would stop and nothing until the world knew who he was and respected him. He also told Shanks what his mom told him about finding a girl, which really lightened the mood and got the man giggling like school again. Hee mama's boy, Shanks said, only to get a grin from Naruto as yelled, and proud of it, my Ka-san was awesome. Her nickname was the Red Death and feared by all the nations in my world. Suddenly Shanks felt a shiver go down his spine as for some reason the image of Kushina cracking her knuckles evilly popped into his head. Naruto, why your mom didn't happen to have long red hair, did she? As Shanks prayed, the kid said no, but to his unfortunate surprise, Naruto nodded yes. Yay, how did you know? Naruto asked curiously. I think she just threatened me. Naruto was rolling on the floor laughing, saying that sounded like her. Kurama was also rolling on the ground in his mind as he laughed in the red-headed mon's situation. Naruto then got up, wiping away some stray tears from laughter as he go a bit more serious and looked at the 4 men in front of him. Please, I need all the help I can get and I know you 4 are especially strong. The Kyuubi told me he can feel the strength coming off of you guys. That got the 4 men's attention as they all looked at each other with a puzzled look. They all exchanged looks for a couple of minutes till they all nodded at each other. Shanks then smiled him. Alright kid, well train you. Naruto was about to jump for joy, but Shanks cut him off. But I want you train in all the things your parents gave you before you begin learning from us, got it? He was soon impacted on his chest by crying little blonde boy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Naruto kept repeating as he smiled as Shanks smiled at him and patted his head a couple times. No problem kid, just know we're gonna work you into the ground and back to one of the best pirates in the world. Naruto then had a confused look on his face. What's a pirate, Shanks? Shanks' sweat dropped at that, then began to explain what being a pirate was all about. He then went on to tell him of the Navy and world government and how there were good and bad people in each of them. He also told Naruto if after he trained and wanted to be a marine they would still gladly help him. He simply said to hell with the world government and their sense of absolute justice, and what kind of asshole goes around saying that all the time? Somewhere in the Navy HQ. Aachoo. Akainu sneezed. Oh, Akainu, not catching COOLLLLDDDD, I hope. Maybe you've been spending too much time with Aokiji, said Barcelino. Shut Kizaru, Akainu said, annoyed. Back with the red-haired pirates on an abandoned island about 5 years later. Naruto had done just as Shanks said and worked endlessly on the lessons his parents had laid out for him. He was at least Chunin, if not special Junin, in terms of ninja raw strength. His chakra control was getting better and he was working on water walking, as he could walk or run with the ship for a couple of days before he had to get back on the ship due to exhaustion. His seal work was just where it was going to be forever, where his dad stopped the instructions. He could make explosive tags and storage seals pretty easily, although he wanted to be able to do it a bit faster, to the point where he could find a way to slap an explosive seal on someone like his father did with his Hiroshin seal. He had gotten down his elemental manipulation to the point where he could cut a boulder in half pretty easily, now just had to cut a waterfall in half. Which would have to wait till the next island they were on, cause this one did not have a waterfall unfortunately. He had already learned to do a few just like the Windblade, Vacuum Bullet, Great Breakthrough. He had even gone as far as to make his own technique. He called it Impact. He used his wind chakra to build up pressure in his hand or feet and create a vicious impact. He could already break wood, but his goal was to dent or break steel. Now he was just working on his stealth by playing pranks on his surrogate father Shanks, much to Shanks' irritation. Oi Naruto, where are you, you little punk? Why is my shirt kill me neon orange? Shanks stomped around the island looking for the little ninja pirate, but much to his dismay, he could not find him. Hee, I know how to get you, you little bugger. Shanks thought to himself, ah fine, then I'm just gonna have the ramen roux made for you. Suddenly a golden mop of hair was in front of him. Roux made me ramen? Naruto asked, happy as could be, only to be put in a headlock, only it was Shanks' legs around his neck. If you've seen it, think of what Deidara did to Toby, but noogied instead of choked. Damn right he did, but first you're gonna get a super noogie of doom from me. Naruto began to struggle, but it was no use as Shanks noogied until there was a slight bald spot on the top of his head. Shanks got up and patted himself off with his hand as he looked in the boy rubbing his head and smiled. Come on Squirt, let's go get some ramen. He patted the boy's head as he walked with him. Oi Shanks, I was wondering, since most of the stuff my parents have taught me, could you help me with my swordsmanship? Naruto asked nervously as Shanks raised an eyebrow at this, not knowing the boy wanted him to teach him swordsmanship since his mother in all aspect could probably beat Hawkeye in purely swordsmanlike duel. Well, I thought you want to learn from your mom, Scro. I have learned from her. Naruto interrupted, looking at him a bit saddened by what he figured out. But what I realized is that her style, it flows so smoothly and needs you to be completely flexible and as fluent as the sea. While I can do it for the most part, it just doesn't feel right to me, you know what I mean? I just hope she's not upset with for not using her style. Naruto said, a bit downtrodden at the fact he didn't want to use his Kasan style. He then felt a hand on his shoulder and looked up to Shanks with a grin on his face. Hey kid, if there is one thing about moms that I know, they will always be proud of their son. So I know she not upset, in fact I think she would be proud to know that can realize a style isn't right for you even if it is hers. Shanks then smiled as they got back to camp to see everyone partying. Hey Mr. Maelstrom, welcome back, the ramen is still warm buddy. Naruto quickly dove in face first, taking on the 20 bowls of ramen with gusto. Little did he realize that the captain had the crew spike the ramen, so by the time he was ready to stand up and go to bed, well, he couldn't really stand. 3 months later, different abandoned island, with a waterfall. Naruto had taken to Shanks's training like a champ. He had even taken to wearing a red sash around his waist as he had a small saber like Shanks' sword, except the handle was red. This sword was only temporary as he would grow out of it, and he was having another one made by a master swordsman due to favor from Shanks. He was having the blade made from the strongest steel with sea stone also made in the blade. He kept smiling as he had taken his hoodie, shirt and sash off as he was standing on the rocks behind the waterfall to stand on, so it was like double the training. Now he was attempting to cut the waterfall in half for what seemed like the 1000th time. I'll get it this time, I have to, we've already been on this island for far too long, I can't risk being a burden to the crew, I could never forgive myself, Naruto thought to himself. And with a mighty roar and all of his power channeled his wind chakra into the blade as he severed the waterfall. Yes, ye, his cheering was abruptly stopped as he saw what looked like an opening where the water met the waterfall. As water began to flow from the waterfall, it was obscured from view once more. Not that it stopped him from jumping into the river that the waterfall was flowing into. Naruto began swimming into the waterfall as he pulled himself into the opening. He began walking into the darkness as he could barely see anything. Oh, Kurama, I could use some help here. Fine, be careful, though I sense something strange in here, said Kurama. Well, that can't be too good. I hope nothing tries to eat me, Naruto thought as his eyes glowed red with black slits in the middle as he was able to see perfectly now. He back going deeper until he found a black tree and an odd-looking fruit. It was black and had swirls going all around it with top like a pineapple-like top. This must be a devil fruit. Should I eat it? I say take it back to Shanks and see what he says about I'm sure he'll let you keep it if you want, said Kurama as Naruto nodded, then grabbed the fruit and used a wind blade on one of his figures to cut the fruit off the tree. Then he ran out of the cave, diving into the lake, swimming back to shore. He then dried off and put all his clothes back on and began running to red-haired pirates' camp. Once he got to the camp, he was a bit out of breath as his training had also taken a toll on him as he looked for Shanks and saw him sitting under a large umbrella. Oi Shanks, I did it, I cut the waterfall in half. Shanks looked up to see Naruto right hand behind his back, making him wonder what was behind, but left it alone for the moment. It's about damn time you beat that stupid waterfall, kid. I was wondering if we should build a town to stay here. Shanks joked and began to laugh as Naruto pouted a bit at the jab, but he knew Shanks was only joking. Somewhat at least. Oh, if it like that I guess I won't tell you of the awesome treasure I found behind the waterfall, Naruto said with a slight grin as Shanks stopped laughing. What treasure are you talking about, Naruto? Shanks asked, a bit curious as everyone else who could see behind the kid's back was in awe at what they saw, and Naruto brought his hand around to show it to Shanks, the fruit, as his eye widened. I know that fruit, Shanks said with his eyes wide as saucers of sake that Whitebeard used to drink. Oh, could you please tell me which one this is if you don't mind? Naruto asked curiously. If Shanks' reaction was anything to go by, this fruit was gonna be something else. Indeed, Kurama added, mentally also curious to see what would have a man like Shanks looking like he just saw a ghost. Shanks got up and slowly looked over the fruit. That's the Satai Yami no Mi. An. Absolute darkness fruit. I know it doesn't really go with how most fruit are named, but oh well, it gives the user absolute control over darkness. This fruit makes Gecko Mariah's cage no Mi look like child's play. Naruto was wide-eyed at this as he looked at the fruit, then felt a hand on his left shoulder as he looked to see Shanks with a deathly serious look on his face. Naruto, either eat that fruit or destroy it. That fruit has too much power to just let sit around even in the safest safe in the world. If used right, I have no doubt the user of that will have the potential become someone as feared as Whitebeard, if not Gold D. Roger himself. Naruto then understood the severity of the situation. If this fruit got into the wrong hands, it could mean some very dark things are soon to follow, Naruto thought to himself as he began thinking on if he should eat it or destroy it. Eat it, Naruto. With that power you will be able to do things you could never imagine, and it's not like you need to swim, you can literally use chakra to climb out of water instead of swimming. Kurama said as Naruto nodded his head and made his decision. He swallowed the damn thing whole. Bah, that tasted like shit. Oi, someone get me some ramen, Naruto shouted as everyone stared at him in awe that he had just devoured the devil fruit. And Naruto, how do you feel? Shanks asked, a bit worried. I feel fine, Naruto said as he felt no different from before until he tried using his power as his whole right arm changed black with an almost purplish tint to it. Whoa, now that's cool. He then pulled his arm back and punched forward as his arm extended to the forest where it hit a tree and broke the bark on it. As he brought it back, not as powerful as I'd like that impact to be, but I wonder, he said cryptically as he shot his arm forward, turning his fist into a spike and pierced the tree through, and soon an axe blade shot out of each side of the tree, causing it fall to the ground. Naruto then brought his axe arm back. Think of how Sandman does his arms, but instead of sand it's darkness. Well, that's interesting, Naruto said as he looked at his dark arm and turned it into a dark hand, wiggled his fingers in front of his face. That's very interesting, the blonde finished. Kudos to whoever can tell me what that's from. Okay Naruto, that's crazy, but now we've got one more thing to train you in. Since you're done with your wind chakra training, we're gonna take you to a group of people who are great and specialize with Logia type devil fruits. Come to think about, they're good with just about everything. Shanks said as some people started to go white as they realized who Shanks was talking about. See, Captain P, please tell me you're not talking the strongest man in the world. Shanks looked at the random crewmate with a curious look. Oh, how did you know I was talking about old man Whitebeard? Shanks got up close to whisper to him. You didn't eat devil fruit that allowed you to read mind, did you? Everyone face faulted at this as thinking about their captain's brilliance. Oi, load up boys, we are leaving. Shanks started giving orders to everyone to gather all the supplies so they could begin to set sail. Once back on the ship, Naruto was sitting on one of the railings watching the sea go by as he just practiced making different parts of his body into dark material and manipulating it into different shapes. Oi Naruto, he felt a hand on his right shoulder as he looked to his left to see Usopp. Hey Usopp, what's up? He asked politely. Oh, not much, but it's time for you to train. Usopp said, a bit excited as he laughed, and Naruto jumped from the rail excited about what he was going to learn. Oh, are you finally gonna teach me how to shoot a gun? Usopp laughed and patted the kid on the head. That's right Naruto, by the time I'm done with you, you'll be able to hit a bullseye from 100 yards with your eyes closed. Usopp said confidently. Alright Naruto, the number one rule is never draw your gun unless you're ready to use it, because if you're not, I promise your enemy will be. Number 2, which is more of lesson than a rule. Once you shoot you can't take it back. Once that bullet leaves the barrel you can't take it back no matter how much you want to got it. Usopp said seriously as Naruto nodded, understanding the point he was trying to get across. Next, never point a gun at a comrade. That it possibly one of worst things possible. It can break trust and friendships, not to mention if the gun goes off you could end up killing a friend, Usopp said. He looked at Naruto as the boy was contemplating what he was saying. Now here's a follow me. He brought him up to a part of the deck that was made into a shooting range for Naruto. There was about 12 different flint-lock pistols in front of Naruto as he picked up the first pistol. Now Naruto, I want you to aim down the barrel through the sights. Then take a deep breath, let it out and fire. Naruto did as instructed as he missed by an inch. Damn, whoa, don't get too upset, it was a pretty close shot, you might be able to challenge my son someday, Usopp said with a grin as Naruto's eyes widened. After all, Usopp never stopped talking about his son Usopp and a boy made of rubber named Luffy, so that was indeed the compliment. Really, you think so? He asked Usopp. Kid, I'm positive. Usopp smiled and had Naruto get back to practicing his shot, getting better each and every time he pulled the trigger. After a couple hours of constant practice, Shanks came up to him too and had small box in his hands. Oi Naruto, give it a rest for a little while, would you were running out of crap for you to shoot, Shanks said with a laugh. Okay, sure. What's up with the box, Shanks? Naruto asked as Shanks smiled and put it on the table in front of Naruto. Find out yourself, kid, Shanks said with some amusement. Naruto quickly opened the box to find an outfit inside of it. The outfit consisted of purple long-sleeved cotton shirt with 3 buttons from the middle of the chest up. The buttons were gray. Also changed were the black and white camo pants. Now they were completely white and came down to his new black steel-toed boots. A sash in not too dark shade of purple that would hold his sword for him. A couple of weeks later, Whitebeard territory. Now Naruto, try not say anything foolish as Whitebeard holds no love for people who simply waste his time, but he dislikes cowards even more. Yay, get me? So there's no worries since I know you're not a coward, are you? Shanks asked a bit. He laughed as the kid shouted, damn right. Naruto was walking right next to Shanks's right side wearing his new outfit. Ben Beckman was to Shanks' left, followed by Lucky Roo, who was next. Ben Usopp was standing next to Naruto as he had taken to the little ball of dark energy since he reminded him somewhat of his own son. It was a bit odd to see Shanks almost dragging along a giant gourd filled with sake. It was about the size he was, if not bigger. Shanks had said it was something to help get in the old man's favor. Then they came to a large clearing. It looked to be a giant courtyard easily the size of 2 football fields in length and width, made of green cracked up stone, showing the age of them must have been somewhat ancient. There was a small abandoned village behind made of green stone houses. You could tell they were abandoned by the moss growing on the houses as well as the overall dirty and beat up look of the place. But at the end the courtyard, there he was along with his crew. Fire Fist Ace, Marco the Phoenix, Diamond Man Jozu, Thatch, one his top division commanders, and finally the big man himself. The strongest man in the world and leader of the Whitebeard pirates, Edward Newgate aka Whitebeard. Oi kid, be careful around that man, his aura of power is ridicules. I've never felt anything like this come from any human before. This man is easily as no, he's definitely stronger than the first Hokage or Madara. Tread very carefully around this man. Oi Whitebeard, Shanks yelled as everyone from the Whitebeard crew stopped to look at him. Seeing another one of the 4 emperors of the sea isn't something you see every day. Shanks and the others began to walk closer to Whitebeard's crew, stopping only about 50 yards away. Red-haired Shanks, huh? What do you want, brat? I haven't seen you since the last time I locked horns with Roger himself, said Whitebeard as almost everyone from Whitebeard's crew eyes widened at that. Haha, yay, well, I brought you some sake from my hometown island, why don't we have a drink? He then had Naruto roll up his sleeve and touch a seal as a giant sake saucer appeared out of nowhere, shocking everyone on the Whitebeard crew. Even Whitebeard himself raised an eyebrow at this. Naruto then handed Shanks the saucer as Shanks began to pour some, filling the saucer up and tossing the gourd to Whitebeard. The giant man began chugging the sake down till he stopped, saying it wasn't too bad. So brat, I assume you didn't come all the out here just to have a drink with me, am right? Yes, I have proposition for you. Shanks smiled and let the statement hang in the air. I want you train one of younger boys. I have no knowledge of how Logia fruit really work, and I know that you and your crew have quite the amount of devil fruit users. If you do help him, I'll owe you a favor as well as become an ally of the Whitebeard pirates. Shanks stated with a serious tone, shocking everyone, even his own crew who weren't privy to these terms. This all diffidently caught Whitebeard's attention, as having one of the 4 emperors of the sea as an ally could be very beneficial in a tight spot. As well as favor from one of the mightiest pirates in the world was an offer easily refused. It all depend, brat, who's the kid you want us to train and what power does he need to control? With that, Shanks turned to his right, seeing a stoic and calm Naruto as he gestured him to step forward and plead his case to the strongest man in the world. "Oi, Kurama, let off some energy to let these guys know we're the real deal here," Naruto asked Kurama. "Coming right up, kid," the giant fox inside his stomach replied. Naruto was then surrounded by a barely seeable dark purple aura as he looked at Whitebeard in the eyes. "My name is Naruto Uzu." He was then cut off as the giant's laughter filled the air. "Gurararara, your name is Fishcake. What kind of name is that?" "Gurararara." Naruto quickly grew a tick mark as his aura became a bit darker as he looked at the giant, laughing until he snapped. "Oi, it means maelstrom, old man. And what kind of name is Whitebeard when you don't even have damn beard? You should be called White Mustache if anything." Naruto was huffing after yelling at the old man as Shanks and his crew were all staring at Naruto wide-eyed at what he just said, along with the whole Whitebeard crew. Silence then fell as Whitebeard stared down the boy who dare insult his name. Then he let out giant, mighty laugh. "Gurararara, you got me, brat. Gurararara. I haven't been called out on that since Roger himself got annoyed with me." He chuckled to himself and everyone let out a breath, for fear that the island they were standing on was about to sink. Naruto then regained his composure and looked at Whitebeard again. "Like I was saying, my name is Namikaze U Naruto, and I am here to ask if you could help me train my devil fruit, since you have so many users in your crew." Naruto asked and was about to continue until someone interrupted him. It looked to be a girl who jumped in front Whitebeard. She wore white pants and a long-sleeved green shirt, as with saber on her right side with a decorated guard that looked like flower. She had short brown hair and eyes almost as blue as his. "What hell? You think you can just walk up to insult our captain's and crew's name, then ask us for help? How about I kick your ass and then send your crying home mommy and daddy?" the girl said confidently, as everyone 4-member of the red hair crew thought the same thing. Aw shit, she just had to go there. Suddenly the temperature dropped a couple of degrees as Naruto's started to glow a sinister purple as he looked at her with ice-cold blue eyes that would send chills down Admiral Aokiji's back. "If you want to fight, then come and get some," Naruto said darkly as he looked at her and took a couple steps forward, waiting for her to move. Something told Haruta that maybe this wasn't such a smart idea, but she just pushed it to the back of her head as she drew his saber and wait for Naruto as he drew his with his in his right hand. They slowly began walking towards each other as in burst of speed both launched themselves at each other. Their swords clashed as they began trading blows with their blades as they had switched field position. Naruto's back was to the Whitebeard crew and Haruta's back was to Shanks's crew. Haruta began to slightly get the upper hand with her speed and agility. Naruto then did a vertical slash as Haruta blocked it. Naruto pumped some chakra into his arms and sent her flying back. Only for Naruto to channel some chakra into his legs as he appeared behind her, much to her surprise and dismay. She quickly turned and slashed at him, only for him to duck and cross his left arm under his right and place his palm right onto her stomach and in a low voice said the word, "Impact." Then at that point Haruta got hit with a burst of hair, sending her back almost at Whitebeard's feet as the air was knocked out her and she was left clutching her stomach with her free hand gasping for air. "I have no problem with trading friendly banter back and forth, but the moment you bring my parents into this, the same ones that sacrificed their lives protecting me the same day I was born, it becomes personal," Naruto said in an ice-cold tone and looked at Haruta as he sheathed his saber and walked up to her and put his right hand out to help her up. "But since you didn't know, I'll forgive you this time. That way we friends." He then proceeded to flash his $1,000,000 smile at her, making her blush a bit as she took his hand and got up. "Gurararara, well Shanks, you've got yourself a deal. Haruta is one of my most up-and-coming fighters, and for your brat to be able to beat her, well, that is nothing short of impressive on his part for one who is so young," said Whitebeard as Naruto smiled at being accepted and praised by the strongest man in the world. "All you leave except Ace, Jozu and Marco," Whitebeard commanded as everyone dispersed as Whitebeard looked at Naruto with calculating eyes. So boy, what fruit did you eat? You showed some skills, but they did not warrant needing to be trained by us. Naruto then nodded himself as a dark circle appeared below him and it began to consume him, to Whitebeard's utter surprise as his eyes shot open wide seeing these powers. He recognized the power of the absolute darkness fruit as the darkness disappeared and left Naruto completely pitch black except for his demonic glowing white eyes. Marco, Ace and Jozu were all surprised. They had never heard of such a power or a fruit that could do that. They then turned to Whitebeard only to get an even bigger surprise. Never had they seen their pops speechless, and this is surprised, like ever. Pops, what's going on? What wrong? Ace stuttered out, not sure if he should ask his pops. Whitebeard then leaned back chugging down more sake. When he stopped he looked at from Naruto to Shanks and smiled. To think I would live to see that fruit come to light. It's truly a good thing to have that boy as ally, Shanks. Whitebeard then looked at his sons. Pops, I've never even heard of a fruit like this, what is it? Marco asked as he just heard what his pops had said to Shanks, wondering what kind of fruit could make his pops the strongest man in the world happy he wouldn't have to face this kid. I'm not surprised. The only record of this fruit is from the original Devil Fruit booklet when they were first discovered. It was later removed because of its immense power. The world government didn't want people to go looking for it and it to fall into the hands of a pirate. Gurarara, how ironic that's exactly what happened. Listen to me and listen well, this devil fruit has just as much potential as my Gora Gora no Mi. Whitebeard said, dead serious, surprising everyone as they looked to see a smiling pitch black Naruto with a black aura coming off him like black flames. Ace smirked to himself, excited at the prospect of training someone with so much potential. His hands caught flame as he looked at pitch black boy and smiled at him. Oh, if we're gonna train you we gotta see where you stand in terms of skill and power. So show your moves. Ace yelled as sent a fist of fire at the pitch black boy. Naruto quickly moved his body and parried Ace's punch, spinning and sent a kick to his body as the 2nd Division commander's body turned to flame. As his kick went through the flame he didn't get burned. Ace capitalized and hit the kid in the face with a punch, sending him flying. Naruto then turned his body and landed on his feet as he went through some hand signs and uttered the words, Dark Wind Blade. Black wind started swirling around both of Naruto's hands, each about foot in visible length. He then pushed Wind Chakra and Normal Chakra, which to most would seem like it turned his body into a black blur. Except no one around them was most people, they were all high-class fighters, which meant they could see him just fine. He then came upon Ace and slashed with his right hand from left to right, diagonally up and across Ace's body. Ace used his powers to turn the area that was attacked to fire, only for them to be imminently put out to his surprise as he gained a slash mark across the chest. Without hairfire can't breath, Naruto said as he went to follow with his left, only to get powerful left fire boot to the face from Ace, sending him back across the courtyard. Naruto used his momentum to roll back onto his feet. Hey kid, thanks for the advice, I'll remember that. Ace said sincerely. Alright kid, like I said, show your moves so we can get a better feel of what you can do. Naruto nodded as he then drew his sword, which was all black, with his right hand did 3 different slashed, 2 diagonally and 1 vertically as black wind shot out. Ace easily maneuvered his way through them as his arm was suddenly grabbed by a black one and he was slammed into the ground, not doing a lot of damage though. Naruto then let go of Ace and turned his arm into hammer and went slam it on Ace, only for him to roll out of way, then shoot a couple of human-sized fire blasts at Naruto. Naruto retracted his arm and a portal opened up under him as he dropped into it, dodging the blast as he came right back up in the same spot. Naruto then smiled as did a couple of hand signs and said, Vacuum Black Air Bullet. He then shot out 4 small air bullets that Ace barely dodged as he got grazed on his left shoulder as it started to bleed. Ace smiled at seeing the strength of this kid. This kid could easily take on some of the tougher pirates on the Grand Line right now with these moves, and he's able to do damage to Loguetown type like me? That's crazy, was the general thought of all Whitebeard crew standing there. Those are really the only moves I have at the moment. I haven't had this power that long, I haven't had too much time to experiment with it yet. Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head shyly as his body turned from pitch black back to its normal color. Although I do know in that form if I want to I change to be shadow-like, so most attacks will phase right through me. Naruto said, getting a nod from all the Whitebeard crew that was in attendance. Well kid, that was pretty impressive. But by the time we're done with you should be able to hold yourself against one of the 7 warlords of the sea," said a confident Marco as the others behind him nodded in agreement. "That's a mighty impressive claim there, Marco, hope you can back it up," Shanks said as he smiled and looked as Naruto and gestured for him to come to him. "Well, why don't you go ahead and rest and well get started once you've got a full tank again," said Marco. Naruto nodded and went to Shanks. "So what are we gonna do for the time that I'm here?" he asked Shanks as Shanks smiled and patted him on the head. "Well, you're gonna stay here, we're sailing out tomorrow. As much as we would like to stay and watch you, there are things we have to do, Naruto," Shanks said looking into Naruto's eyes. "In truth, we probably won't be back for a couple of years, kid. This is where our path adventure together comes to an end, and yours begins. That doesn't mean we won't see each other along the way, but you got to go out on your own and live your life according to you. After all, my old Captain Gold D. Roger once said, what's the point in being a pirate if you can't do what you want? So you better do what you want and get stronger, you hear me? And just in case you need some help, I got this for you." Shanks then pulled out a long object wrapped up. He gave it to Naruto. Naruto opened it up to see his sword, the one made of sea stone. It had a long silver blade as his guard was bronze, the handle was black. Its sheath was bronze at the top and the bottom and a dark blue down the length of it. This is the sea stone sword, right?" Naruto asked in awe as Shanks nodded his head and smiled and back up. Usopp then came and handed the boy a weird-looking black pistol. "Naruto, these are the newest pistol out. I created this one myself. It's called a revolver and it takes this kind of ammo." Usopp handed Naruto a bullet, then handed him a heavy backpack filled with thousands of rounds of ammo. There are also instructions on how to keep that gun clean and make more bullets. Oh, and the bullets in the blue boxes are specially made sea stone bullets. There are instructions on how to make those too. "Alright, kid, make sure to take care of yourself and get real strong, okay?" he asked as Naruto nodded, sniffling a bit. He looked back to Shanks and ran up to him and him a big hug around the waist. "You better come back to see me, okay?" Naruto said, sniffling some more as Shanks nodded. "I promise, Naruto, I'll be back to see you. Become strong like your old man, got it?" Naruto nodded slightly. "Oh, okay, Dad." Shanks was shocked a bit but smiled and hugged him tight with his one arm. "Get strong, son, I'll be back before you know it." Shanks smiled and got up and started walking away with his crew. Naruto smiled, then turned to see the Whitebeard pirate smiling at him. "Come on, buddy, let's get you some rest so you get stronger, okay?" Ace asked as he put an arm around Naruto and smiled as he guided him towards where he would be staying. 6 years later, a 17-year-old Naruto was currently on the Mobi. Naruto was wearing the same clothes except his shirt, which was now black with a dark purple swirl on the left arm of it, and both sleeves were pulled up to his forearm, which showed off the seal he had his left forearm, but whenever someone asked he just brushed it off and said it was a tattoo. He also had an eternal log post on his left wrist for navigating. The rest of his clothes were the same, just different sizes, as he was now 5 feet 11, with a slender yet athletic build to him. His sea stone sword was now on his right side, being held by his dark purple sash around his waist. His aura was very strong, being taught the different forms of Haki by Whitebeard and Marco. Naruto now had a very good degree of control over his devil fruit, to the point where he could make monsters out of the very darkness he controlled. He could move as quick as light sense, for where light is, darkness must also follow. He could change from solid to shadow as long as the body part was already pitch black, and that was the tip of the iceberg. Naruto smiled as he looked up and grandfather-like figure, with almost the whole crew around him. "So old man, it's finally that time for us to go our separate ways, huh?" Naruto asked rhetorically. "That's right, brat, but just know you always have a home here. No, we wish you the best of luck out there, kid. Go and make us proud," Whitebeard said with a smile as Naruto nodded his head and started walking to the side of the ship, where Haruta stopped him and gave him a hug and kiss on the cheek. She then smiled at him. "Make sure to take care of yourself, little bro. I wouldn't want any women taking advantage of my innocent little brother," she teased as she let him go. He then made to the side where Ace, Marco and Thatch were waiting for him. "Oi, good luck out there, man, make sure to keep your guard up," said Marco as he walked past him, patting him on the shoulder, as Thatch soon followed, whispering, "Don't forget to treat the ladies right, buddy," as he walked by giggling like a little schoolgirl. Which left Ace, who proceeded to hug Naruto to place something on top of his head. Naruto looked up and took the hat off and looked at to see it was replica of Ace's hat except it was black and the string attached to it was black. The pendant on connected to the string was a electric purple with gray fox head on it. Naruto smiled as he always said how he wanted Ace's, now he got a version just for him. He immediately hugged his older brother figure as he had grown truly close to Ace during his stay. Ace began to laugh. "Oi Naruto, I got favor to ask ye," Ace said as Naruto then looked at him. "Rumor is going around that my little brother Luffy is getting a crew together somewhere in the East Blue. I heard he even go Usopp's kid to join him. I want you to join since that's what you were gonna do anyway, and try to look out for him if that's not problem." "I understand if," Ace was cut off by hand on his shoulder as Naruto smiled at him with his $1,000,000 smile. "That's perfect Ace, I wouldn't want it any other way. I'll do my best to look after him," he said as he put his hat on and jumped over the ship and landed on a giant black hawk as he turned to wave at the Whitebeard pirates as he started to fly off into the distance. "Oi Kurama, can you get beat on energy signature similar to Usopp's?" Naruto asked as he put his backpack down in front of him. It's faint but I can feel it. He's in the Konami Islands region," Kurama stated. "Alright, Luffy, here we come," Naruto shouted out to the sky. Kurama, I think we're getting closer, I feel a energy like Usopp's, not to mention a battle going on." Naruto hummed out as he squinted his eyes. "What an odd-looking building. Naruto, I think that's where the battle is going on, you dummy," as if to confirm that's where it was going on. Small explosion went off. "Yup, you're right, alright, full speed ahead." As Naruto he got there to see a boy with a scar under his left eye have both legs fly up and smash into the concrete. Rubber stretchy man must be Luffy. What is he doing? Only to see Arlong smash his hands into the ground and pick it up. Well, that's a problem, Naruto thought as he saw Arlong about to throw Luffy into the water. Naruto quickly did some hand signs. Vacuum air bullet. Naruto shot out 3 well-placed bullets, destroying the slab of concrete and pierced Arlong's left shoulder and stomach. Ag! Arlong fell back holding his left shoulder and stomach. Which one of you dirty sticking pumans just did that? Arlong waited as no one said anything since they were just as shocked as he was that happened. Who did it, you bastards, he yelled in rage. That would be me, Naruto said as he was crouched down on the lowest tile ledge of Arlong Park's main building. Naruto's hat was tilted so it was covering his face and all you could see was his wicked grin. Who the hell are you and what do you want, Puman? Can't you see I'm in the middle of killing someone? Arlong said, irritated, not truly knowing who he was fucking with. Naruto smirked. Well, to answer your questions in order. He put a finger on his hat and pushed it up, showing his 3-whiskered mark face and his electric blue eyes. The name is Namikaze U Naruto, and as to why I'm here, he let it hang it there as he looked at Luffy. I'm here, join your crew, ha ha ha. Everyone's eyes widened in surprise, even Luffy. My crew, why do you want to join my crew? Naruto laughed at his reaction and grabbed his chin and looked up as if thinking. Well, there are a number of reasons actually. One is Shanks never shut up about you, so I'm naturally curious. Luffy's eyes widened and a huge grin came on his face. Next would probably because Usopp never stopped telling me about how great of marksman his son would be. Usopp almost started crying to hear his dad believed in him. But probably the most important one is your brother asked a favor and sent me to keep an eye on you, Luffy. Naruto smiled at Luffy as he was ready to jump at his new guy and ask him tons of questions until. Like I give a damn, WHO sent you. You dirty stinking PEWMANGE, was as far as Arlong got before Naruto's boot hit him in the chest, causing him lose all his breath, cough out blood and get sent skipping across the water until he was pretty much out of the gates. Needless to say, everyone was shocked to their core. Holy crap, I know Luffy was holding back against Arlong, but I didn't even see the guy move. Zoro thought as he saw Naruto standing there with his foot out. Naruto turned back to Luffy. Geez, what loud little goldfish, huh, Luffy? Luffy started laughing. Just then Arlong shot out of the water straight at Naruto as he smiled and moved to the side, letting Arlong fly into the building. Naruto then turned his head to look at Arlong climbing out of the rubble. You know, Arlong, Tiger would be so disappointed in you, Naruto said as Arlong looked almost shell-shocked at his and he exploded. What the hell would you know, you stinking PEWMAN, and what does it matter? Tiger died a fool just for helping your kind. I am nowhere near as foolish as him, that's why he's dead and I am not. I am the top of the food chain around here. Naruto looked at Arlong with cold ice blue eyes. This is my first and only warning. Arlong, leave this place and never come back or I'll kill you right here and now. Naruto was releasing Kurama's killing intent and watched as Arlong began to sweat and shake like a leaf. Everyone else around was scared shitless except for those few strong like Luffy, Sanji and Zoro, but even they knew that Naruto was incredibly strong. As for Arlong, everything was telling him to run and get as far away from this man. But unfortunately for Arlong, his fishman's pride was just too much. No, I won't let this stinking PEWMAN take me out. I am the best, the strongest, top of the food chain. Arlong yelled in his head as he then charged at Naruto in a blind rage. Soon he was upon Naruto and no one saw Naruto do one-handed hand signs with his right hand as his left was in his pocket. No one even heard him whisper, "Windblade." Only Zoro caught a bit of the distorted air flowing around Naruto's right. Naruto moved to he left, dodging Arlong's lunge at him and swiped across his neck. Arlong took a few steps forward as he reached the edge where the water began. Everyone waited on a bated breath as Naruto turned his head slightly to see the back of Arlong's form and his hair fall as if it was cut from the point of the neck and his head roll of his head into the water followed by his body. Everything was silent until one townspeople yelled, "It's over, Arlong is dead." The townspeople exploded in cheers. Everyone gathered around Luffy, Zoro, Sanji and Naruto. Hold it. Everyone turned to see a rat-looking man. "I thank you fine gentlemen for defeating Arlong, but you all are pirates, so I'm going to have to arrest you all here, hee." Nezumi laughed until his head was impacted by a wooden staff. "Where's my money, you rat bastard?" Nami yelled as he looked up at her with anger. "You bitch. Men, arrest her." Only for all of them to suddenly drop down by a blast of Conqueror's Haki from Luffy, which surprised everyone including Naruto since he had only known 3 people to ever have it and they were all extremely strong individuals: Shanks, Ace and Whitebeard. Nezumi was pretty much shitting himself as all the people who were conscious were ready to beat the shit out of him. He soon returned the money and got on his ship as fast as he possibly could, starting to sail away. Only Naruto wouldn't have any of that as he walked to the edge of the island where you could make out Nezumi's ship. He then put his arm forward and had his palm pointing upward. Everyone around him was wondering what he was doing until a small black swirling ball started to appear with white winds going around it. Think Menmas when he destroyed the Leaf Village in RTN, just smaller. The small black ball then went flying straight towards ship. When it came in contact with the ship there was an explosion of darkness. When everything cleared up there was no longer a ship and no longer a Nezumi. Naruto then proceeded to walk nonchalantly past everyone like he hadn't even destroyed a ship with a ball no smaller than a tennis ball. Kokoyashi Village. Couple hours later. Naruto was sitting at a quiet bar as everyone out was partying. "You know you should be having fun instead of sitting here by yourself." Someone said, "Nah, I've done enough partying for an entire lifetime." He replied without looking to the female as he could tell from her voice. He thought back to his time with Shanks and Whitebeard. He chuckled to himself. He then turned to see a girl with short orange hair and a green tank top with black pants on. "Oh, you're the girl that had Luffy's straw hat. You must be pretty important for him to allow you to wear that hat. You're certainly beautiful enough," Naruto said with a wink, making Nami blush. Nami then took a seat next to Naruto, looking him up down. "Definitely a cutie, wonder how much cash he's got," Nami thought while looking at Naruto like he was a piece of steak, which made him chuckle a bit. "So mind telling me a bit about yourself, since more than likely we're gonna be crewmates pretty soon?" Nami asked with adorable smile pointed straight at Naruto. "Sure, why not, but I want to know about you after I tell you my story, got it?" He smiled as she nodded. "Well, I guess I should start it out by telling you I was from a village far, far away," said Naruto, not completely lying. "I was pretty much the village pariah for something I was born with. I would rather not go into detail about it, but the bottom of the line, I was hated by the entire village save for maybe like 3 or 4 people. Anyway, I was pretty much beaten constantly, especially on my birthdays. On my 6th birthday they went a bit farther than normal, almost killed me. The only reason I'm alive is cause they probably thought I was dead. They didn't stop there cause they threw my body out to sea. When I came to, I was about to be eaten by damn Sea King, but fortunately for me Shanks and his crew sailed right by me and saved my ass." He took a breath and looked over to see her eyes widened with sorrow and shock at his story. He then softly smiled at her and continued. After that he took me in as his own and started training me. After a couple years we went to this abandoned island so I could train by this waterfall. While I was there I discovered a cave and found it had a devil fruit in it. When I went back to Shanks he told me it was a super powerful fruit and if I was going to eat it I needed to be trained to control it. That's when I went to train with the one and only Whitebeard crew. Now her eyes were wide opened at what she was hearing. He then proceeded to tell her the rest of his story, leaving out parts here and there. So that's about it, Nami. Naruto smiled at her as she hugged him. Hey, it's all in the past so I tend not to worry about it too much. Besides, don't you have your story to tell me? He smiled as she was about to say something. Just then the bar began to fill with people, the rest of the Straw Hat crew included. Zoro was the first to strike up conversation with Naruto as he wanted to know just how strong he was. Hey Naruto, was it? He asked, getting a nod from said whiskered boy. He then continued. I hate to be blunt but I was curious exactly how strong are you and what kind of training did you go through? Everyone in the whole bar went silent as they were also curious. Naruto raised a brow. It wasn't a weird question. He was actually expecting something like this to come up, but damn, the whole bar had just stopped. Well, in order of how strong I am. I would have to say around the level of a vice admiral if not a bit stronger. He said, scratching his chin like it was nothing. Well, it was nothing to him. You get used to stuff when you hang around the entire Whitebeard crew. However, everyone who was around him was wide-eyed save Nami. Even Zoro had not expected an answer like that. But that would roughly put you just below the level of an admiral, Zoro stuttered out. Yup, that sounds about right, although I've never seen an admiral fight. I mean, technically I didn't, as Akainu was a vice admiral at the time. He said as he looked back at Zoro as he continued. As how I got this strong? Well, it kind of just happens when you have red-haired Shanks and Edward Newgate, captain of Whitebeard pirates, personally train you for most of your life. He laughed as he saw the horror on the faces of everyone in the bar and even some outside who overheard the last part. Everyone was completely silent at what they heard. It stayed like that until everyone heard laughing from the Straw Hat captain. Sheezy, well, it's settled, you're definitely part of the crew now. Naruto smiled at that as everyone started partying again as he got up to walk out until two arms wrapped around his left and he looked down to see Nami. I owe a story, so how about you take me on walk to my house and we can talk, she said. Nami started walking with him to her house, where on the way there she proceeded to tell him about Belmere and how she was the closest thing to a mother she had and was killed by Arlong. Then was basically made a slave to Arlong her whole life, and how she stole from pirates to get money to buy back the village from Arlong only to be lied to. She almost started crying until a pair of arms wrap around her and hold her close as she melted into the hug and let out a few stray tears. I promise you, Nami, no one will ever treat you like that again. Not while I draw breath, at least I promise you that. He stated, looking down at her smiling. Nami then yawned a bit as Naruto laughed and patted her head, grabbed her hand as she began to blush. She then led him to her house where he laid on the couch and she went to her room thinking about how much her life was drastically changing. The next morning, Naruto woke up to hear silence, except for a few birds outside and construction going on to repair the village. He got up and went into the kitchen. Seeing no one was up, he put some coffee on. He began wondering just how powerful his captain could be. He knew he was someone who had conqueror's haki, which alone set him apart from everyone else. I'll just have to ask him myself when I see him. Hey, what are you doing up so early? Nami said as she walked in wearing a very large blue t-shirt like a dress. Naruto blushed a bit seeing this as he smiled. I'm used to waking up early for my training, so this is all natural for me. Nami nodded, somewhat understanding. When do you think we'll be setting sail? Naruto asked. Nami laughed. Whenever our crazy captain decides, and which will probably be when he collected enough meat. You should go find him and ask him. Naruto nodded and smiled. He walked by and gave her a wink, smiling as she blushed a bit. Naruto walked through the village until he found Luffy with a mountain of meat in front of him. Well, Luffy, that's certainly quite the amount of food you've got there. Luffy nodded and kept shoveling meat down his throat at an alarming rate. Reminds me of me when I eat ramen. Naruto took a seat across from his captain as he looked at him seriously. At seeing this, Luffy also took a serious look. Luffy, I know you're strong, but since you're going to be captain, I need to be assured that you can at least hang with me in a fight. He told his captain. Luffy only smiled and nodded his head, understanding that he wouldn't like to have a weak captain either. Well, I can promise you I'm definitely in the same power range as you. Just like you, I had some extra training once my grandpa found out I wanted to be a pirate. He really put me through the grinder. He said that being a marine was a dangerous job, but being pirate was even worse. After a while we eventually discovered I had conqueror's haki, and that's when the training really got hard. He forced me to learn about observation haki, armament haki, and my conqueror's haki. Naruto nodded at this. If he was a master with any one of those, he would definitely be a strong force, not be fucked with. Naruto smiled at this information. Well, that's good to know. I can also use haki, but I tend to only use observation haki since my devil fruit isn't that compatible with armament haki. Luffy nodded, understanding every devil fruit had some advantages and disadvantages. So, Captain, when do we set sail? Naruto asked with a smile. We'll be setting sail sometime later on today. I already had Usopp do an inventory of what we needed and Sanji to get all the supplies. Zoro is somewhere doing something. Naruto's sweat dropped and chuckled a bit at this. Alright, I guess I'll go grab my stuff and get on the ship, Naruto said. He then disappeared into a dark portal that appeared below him. He reappeared in Nami's house picking up his bag. He looked around for Nami. Yo Nami, if you're here, I'm heading to the ship, Naruto said. As he didn't get a reply, he simply shrugged and disappeared into a portal. Going merry, departure time. Naruto was waiting for the crew to depart. He was actually thinking on some of the crazy adventures that they would go on. He had gotten into troublesome things with the Whitebeard pirates, even to the point where he faced one of the 7 warlords of the sea himself. Although he wasn't one of the 7 warlords of the sea at the time, it was quite the accomplishment under his belt to have beaten one of them. Naruto was waiting with his hat over his head, laying on a dark hammock he made. He heard Nami yell, "Set sail." He got up to see why she shouted, only to see her running through the crowd. She took flying leap and barely landed on the ship, unloading all the wallets she had just stolen. Naruto laughed, seeing all the reactions of the people finding their pockets empty. Well, that certainly was a sight to see. Nami, I can definitely appreciate a good prank, Naruto said with glint in his eyes. But if you ever try to prank me, know you're starting a war with someone even Whitebeard dare not try not to mess with. Nami felt a chill go down her spine as Naruto simply walked down the stairs chuckling. Sometime later, out at sea, Nami was talking to a bird. What? You're raising your prices again? The bird nodded solemnly. Nami gave the bird whatever money it needed. When she looked at the papers, she just sat down drinking some orange juice. Oi Nami, what are on those papers? The captain stretched his head to look at them, seeing bounties. It's just news reports like updated bounties and such. Luffy looked disappointed that there wasn't one for him. How come I don't have one yet? Luffy asked. "'Cause I probably killed the Marines before they could report us in," came the reply from Naruto. "Anyway, where do we sail to now, Captain?" Naruto asked. I have no idea. What's the next island we'll pass by, Nami?" Luffy asked. I think it's Loguetown," Nami replied. Naruto raised his eyebrows. "That's where Gold D. Roger was executed," Naruto stated. Luffy's eyes lit up at hearing that. "It's decided. Set sail to Loguetown." Naruto laughed a bit at hearing his captain so excited. This will give me chance to buy some new swords." "Nami, can I get some money?" asked Zoro. "Sure, but you'll owe me 300% interest." What, why so much?" he asked, a little annoyed at the interest. "'Cause I know you'll never pay me back, you cheapskate." Naruto smiled and pulled out a scroll from his back pocket, which got everyone's attention. He opened it and 50 million berry poofed out and then threw it at Zoro. Zoro caught it with an amazed look. Thanks man, this is a lot to just give away. And how did you do that with the scroll?" "Oh, no problem. For some reason whenever I go to a casino I always win big, so I'm pretty well set. As for the scroll thing, it's called a sealing scroll, only I can use them because of a special power I was born with." Nami's eyes turned to berry signs at this and jumped into his lap, smiling cutely at him. "Oh Naruto, would you like to take little old me to casino when we get Loguetown?" as she batted her eyelashes at him cutely. Naruto slyly smiled, wrapping an arm around her waist, making her blush. "Why, of course, my beautiful navigator," Nami smiled and leaned back on Naruto as he smiled. Later at Loguetown, everyone was getting off the ship. "Luffy, I know where to find." Naruto looked at where Luffy was, showing the empty outline as he turned to saw Luffy running into town. "Damn it, I just know this gonna spell trouble." Zoro walked by him and patted him on the back. Yeah, you're probably right, but everything usually turns out alright. I'm going to look for some swords. See you guys later. Zoro waved as he walked off. Naruto was about to walk off as Nami grabbed his hand. You're taking me to the casino, remember Naruto? Yay, I remembered, let's go Nami. He walked off as Sanji seethed seeing this. Well, I guess I'll go look for some food to stock up on. That just left Usopp. Well, don't worry, the great Captain Usopp will keep the ship safe. Nami was walking with Naruto looking for a local casino. Geez, you think they would make a casino more visible, huh? Naruto hummed in thought, looking around, and finally saw it. There it is, he said, pointing to the casino as Nami's eyes lit up. Nami dragged Naruto into the casino only for Naruto to stop seeing a tall man with white slicked back hair and an open white jacket with a cigar in his mouth. He quickly pulled Nami in close and wrapped an arm around her hip as he tilted his hat so his face wasn't visible. Nami was about to say something when she saw his demeanor change. Naruto then whispered to her, "That man is Smoker the White Hunter. He prides himself on catching pirates, come on." He pulled her towards the back of the casino to the slot machines and pulled her onto his lap. "I ran into him back when I was with Ace and Thatch of Whitebeard's crew. I'm willing to bet he'll want to bring me in even if I don't have bounty." Nami looked a bit worried at this and whispered back to him, "Why is his name Smoker the White Hunter, and how strong is he?" Nami wondered if he was stronger than Naruto. Watch, Naruto gestured as Smoker saw some other pirates making a fuss as he turned into smoke and began to make quick work of the pirates. That's why, he ate the smoke fruit and it allows him to turn himself into smoke. The guy's pretty strong, but he's no match for someone like me or Luffy. It would just be way too troublesome to try and fight our way out of here, my beau. Naruto smiled to her as she giggled a bit. They both watched as Smoker quickly walked out of the casino as his men detained the pirates. Naruto smiled again as he looked at the machine. "Now let's see if I've got it," Naruto said as he pulled the slot machine lever. About 2 hours later. "Sir, we're going to have to ask you and friend to leave the casino." A big burly man told Naruto, which caused him to grin and sigh. Okay, let me just put all of my money away," Naruto said as he pulled out a scroll and put his 200,000,030 belly into the scroll and sealed it as Nami was hanging off of him with stars in her eyes as they walked out of the casino. "I told you casinos hate me, ha ha ha." Naruto laughed out loud, holding onto Nami as they decided to walk back to the ship until they saw Luffy flying overhead with Smoker fast on his trail. Naruto sighs in frustration and picks Nami up bridal style. "Great, now we need to run for it. Nami, hold on, okay?" At this, Nami nodded and wrapped her arms around Naruto as he began jumping across the buildings until he caught up to Smoker chasing Luffy. "Oi, Smoker!" Naruto yelled as his right leg turned pitch black as he sent a kick straight at Smoker's chest, which to his surprise connected and sent him flying into a building. "Captain, I think we've overstayed our welcome." Luffy nodded. "It's time to set sail to the Grand Line," Luffy exclaimed as he began jumping toward the ship. Naruto channeled chakra into his legs, speeding up. He soon pasted his captain, who went wide-eyed. Once they made it to the ship, everyone was there except Zoro. "Set sail," Luffy decided. "Hey, what about Zoro, Luffy?" Usopp asked in concern. "Don't worry, Zoro will be here, she. He laughed as they began to set sail. Naruto looked off to the edge of the city, seeing Zoro's mossy green hair. "Shit, I got him." He then opened his palm towards Zoro as a portal appeared under him and sucks him in. A portal of darkness then appears on the ship and spits Zoro out, only to hear Zoro screaming like a little girl. He then realized everyone was staring at him as he composed himself. "What the hell are you all looking at?" Zoro yelled as everyone burst out laughing at him. "Screw this, I'm going to sleep," Zoro said as he leaned his head back against the mast. "Nami," Luffy called. "Where to next?" he asked. "Well, if we want to the Grand Line, there are only two options. We could go through the calm belt, which isn't advisable since there is no currents or winds, not to mention the Sea Kings are way bigger and more aggressive. The only way we'd be able to travel through there is if we had sea stone-coated ship. So that only really leaves Reverse Mountain." Heard about it, read about it, never actually seen it, Naruto said as the others were surprised. "Hey, when you're with a group with bunch of pirates that could probably take on all of the navy, you don't need to worry about something like a silly sea king." Silly sea king. Naruto giggled a little. Well then I guess it's time to set sail. Reverse mountain. Luffy yelled to the sky. Oi Zoro, you want have quick spar session. I heard you wanted to be the best swordsman in the world. I could give you a few pointers since I've been taught by some of the best swordsmen in the world, and yes, that does included the man at the top himself, Hawkeye. Zoro's eyes widened, and quicker than anyone could see he had his 3 swords drawn with a smile on his face as Naruto also sent him a grin. I'll take that as a yes. Naruto slowly drew his sea stone blade in his right hand, reverse grip much like Shanks did. He then flipped the blade so he was holding it in a normal position. Ready, go. Zoro took off at Naruto. He spun around doing a double horizontal attack across Naruto's body. Only for Naruto blocked both by positioning his sword pointing down and putting it in front of him, stopping both swords. Zoro then came across with the sword in his mouth, intent on cutting Naruto by the neck. Naruto countered by channeling chakra into his sword arm and with just raw strength pushed Zoro's 2 blades up, causing them collide with the one in his mouth. Zoro, caught off guard by the raw strength of Naruto, flips back, landing on the rail of the ship looking at Naruto. Your movements are indeed powerful, but you rely too much on your strikes, taking someone out in one hit. If someone can constantly stand against your attacks, you need to be able to change things up a bit. Your moves, they're too predictable. Let your movements flow like water, and as you flow the power will follow, I promise you. Now again. Naruto and Zoro began to back and forth, increasing the pace every so often to keep Zoro on his feet. After a couple hours of sparring, Zoro dropped from exhaustion. How the hell did you get so strong? Zoro panted out, asking Naruto, who despite beating him the whole time was indeed sweating a bit. Non-stop grueling training most of my life. But despite the ass kicking I just gave you, I'm only a little bit better than you when it comes to straight sword play. The only reason I can beat you like that is because my speed, strength and overall reflexes are better than yours. As long as you keep training your body and mind at an insane rate, I'm sure you'll be about where I am in terms of power in a year or so. Not to say I won't get stronger or faster, hehe. But I think my swordsman skills have hit a plateau for the most part. I doubt my swordsmanship is going to get much better from here. Zoro nodded as he thought about what he just went through. Anyway, Zoro here. Naruto tossed a bag next to Zoro. Those are scrolls and books from my previous teachers. You should try to incorporate what they have into your fighting style, it would definitely help you out. Especially the one with the whirlpool swirl on it. It'll help flow exactly like water. Naruto said as he started to go wash off from the workout. I would also ask Luffy for hockey training since you're not a devil fruit user. Hockey is a must if you want to survive on the Grand Line. That goes for everyone here. Whenever you have free time, ask me or Luffy for instruction on hockey because sooner or later you're going to need to learn it. Naruto said to the whole crew as Luffy smiled and nodded in agreement. Hey Naruto. Naruto turned to see what Zoro wanted and saw Zoro with a serious and sincere look on his face. Thank you. Naruto smiled and waved his hand while turning around. Don't worry about it, that's what our friends are for, he said as he went inside to wash up. Naruto went inside to wash up and change into something more comfortable. He had on some black ninja sandals and black cargo shorts. He had on a long-sleeve form-fitting shirt with the shoulders too and sleeves a dark crimson red and the rest of the shirt black. He walked out seeing Reverse Mountain. Here we go. Luffy shouted as they shot up the Reverse Mountain's current. Everyone hold on, we're about to hit the mountain peak. Naruto shouted, holding onto the railing with his left hand and a hand wrapped around Nami. He smiled and laughed as they flew into the air. Nami wrapped herself around Naruto in a vice-like grip, scared she would fly off the ship. Once they came down and started coming down the mountain, they soon saw a giant wall. No, a whale? What the hell is that thing? Is that a whale? Usopp yelled, scared shitless at the sight before him. Usopp, oh my god. It's gonna eat us. I don't want to die. Naruto's eyes widened at this whale. What the hell, most sea kings don't even get this big. Quick, turn the ship, Nami yelled. Naruto, Sanji and Zoro all pulled on the lever while Usopp tried pushing it to turn the ship when crack. Naruto was holding half of the lever. How does this even happen? Sanji yelled. Naruto, can't you blow up the damn whale? Zoro yelled, looking at Naruto shake his head negatively. No, if I used an attack strong enough to do that, we would get caught in the blast. The giant whale then proceeded to open its jaws wide as the water started flowing into massive beast mouth. Shit, looks like we're getting swallowed whole. Zoro murmured as everything began to go dark. Inside the whale, Sanji looked around to see everyone getting the bearings, then looks up shocked. Ugh guys, I'm no expert on whales, but why is there a sky inside of this whale? Everyone stood up looking around as a giant squid came up from the stomach acid. A giant squid, Usopp yelled as Sanji, Zoro, Luffy and Naruto all got ready to attack. 3 large spears then pierced the squid from behind. The giant beast soon fell back into the stomach acid. The Straw Hat Pirates looked past the squid to see a house. Okay, what the hell did you put at your food, pervy cook? Zoro yelled. Sanji gained a tick mark and glared back at Zoro. Don't talk about cooking, damn mosshead. Lighting started flowing from each of them, clashing, until Nami smashed a fist into both their heads. Enough, both of you idiots. Damn, Zoro muttered, holding the pump on his head. My dearest Nami, why? Sanji said, twitching on the ground. Naruto just shook his head at the two. Luffy looked to see a man coming out. Hey, old man, what is this place? The old man gave Luffy a deadly look. HMPF, how rude, I'm only 71, I'm not old at all. Everyone's sweat dropped a bit at this. Naruto then walked up next to Luffy, right. Anyway, I'm Nar, but was cut off by the old man. My name is Crocus and I'm Laboon's doctor and the lighthouse keeper. Everyone looked at him confused. Laboon, who's Laboon? Nami asked curiously. Why, the whale, of course. Crocus stated like it was a dumb question. Well, how the hell do we get out of here, Crocus? Naruto asked, getting slightly annoyed. Crocus was about to answer until 2 people busted out from a small door on top of a metal platform to the left of the SHP. Well, Mr. 9, it looks we'll be having whale for dinner, said the woman with blue long hair put into a ponytail. Yes, Miss Wednesday, it looks to be that way. Now fire, he commanded as they both shot their cannon launchers to the top of the stomach. No, Crocus yelled. I got it, Naruto casually said as a black hole appeared in the path of the 2 cannons, making them both vanish into the dark portal. As soon as the cannons went into the black portal, it closed up like it was never there. Luffy, you should probably take those 2 out before they cause more trouble, Zoro said as Luffy nodded, stretching his arms out, grabbing both of them. He quickly brought them to the ship with a slam as they were both out cold. Luffy, Sanji yelled, quickly kicking his captain in the head, sending him tumbling to the ground. How could you treat such beautiful lady like that? He then turned to the woman and began rubbing her hand to wake her up. I'm sorry for my foolish captain. Beautiful, allow me to make it up to you. Oh, why thank you, Ms. Wednesday said coolly. Hey Crocus, how do we get out of here? Naruto asked, ignoring Sanji's little episode. Oh, right this way, Crocus said before jumping into the stomach fluids and swimming to a ladder and opening it. Don't ask me how, I don't know. Through the door, Luffy commanded. Usopp turned the ship and began to go through first door, then tunnel until they came to a second door. It then opened to show a real sky. Woo, it's good to be outside again, Nami yelled with Usopp quickly nodding behind her. What do you suppose we do with those 2? Zoro said, pointing to the now identified Mr. 9 and Ms. Wednesday. He then turned and looked at them with a grin. You guys said Mr. 9 right, that seems oddly familiar. Mr. 9 began shaking his head back and forth. No, sorry, you must be mistaken. Then Ms. Wednesday quickly came to his rescue. Excuse me, could you please give us a ride to our town at Whiskey Peak? She asked, sounding a bit desperate. Why, of course, my darling, Sanji appeared holding her hand. Do they have meat? Luffy asked, drooling a bit. Yes, we have plenty of food, my friend. If you take us there, you'll have a feast the likes you've never seen, Mr. 9 boasted, making the captain of the SHP eyes fill with different versions of meat. To Whiskey Peak. He then pointed toward the direction of Whiskey Peak. Naruto laughed and smiled as he made a dark hammock. I'm gonna take nap, he yawned out. He looked at Zoro, then to the 2 captives or guests, whatever you want to call them, then back to Zoro as he got the message and nodded. Naruto followed the action and tilted his hat and fell asleep. Sometime later, Naruto woke up to an heavy feeling on his chest, only for him to tip his hat to see Nami sitting on his waist. Ugh, hey Nami, what's up? Naruto asked with a small blush on his face as Nami started rubbing his chest with both her hands and grinding her hips on him. Naruto, I want you. Couldn't you tell, Naruto? Naruto smirked and began massaging her ass. Naruto. Ah, he then fell to the floor on his face. Ah, it was such a nice dream too. Naruto groaned internally. Gahahaha, that was hilarious, brat. Ah, shut up you furball. Naruto then got up, putting his hat back on as Nami came up next to him and whispered. So how was that dream? Sounded pretty nice from out here. Naruto's eyes went wide as he looked her with a blush, then turned away from here. Ah, I guess you could say that. What's with this welcome? I've never seen pirates so welcomed before. Naruto said skeptically. Zoro walked next to him and nodded. I agree, we should keep our guard up, Zoro said so only him and Nami could hear. Ah, hello young pirates, I am Igaram. It's, cough cough, mama, a pleasure to host you at our lovely town. Here we pride ourselves on music, and the best liquor in the seas. Allow us to throw a party in your honor. Igaram stated. Before anyone could say anything, Igaram yelled in joy. Let the party begin. And then I was the great sea king and said, leave if you know what's good for you. Usopp lied as all the people around him began to cheer. Now it's time for a drinking game. Every time someone says cheer, you drink another pint. Last man or woman standing wins 100,000 bellies. Igaram as they all started drinking. Come on you sissies, you can't hang, shouted Nami as men started dropping left and right, including Zoro and Naruto, who was laid out on a table and Zoro face down on a table. You might as well give up, Missy, you will never beat me, said a rather large nun. Oh yay, another round. Just as the woman was about to drink the next mug, she keeled over, unconscious. Ha, I told you I'd win. Nami cheered as she fell over unconscious. If one were to look around, you would see the entire SHC sprawled out around the whole bar, sleeping like they had been drugged or something. Oh wait, they were. Later around midnight, the cocky lady in a black hood came out of the bar. She lowered her hood and looked to the three in front of her. Well, it took long enough, but they're all out like lights. I think it would be best to act now, Mr. 8. Igaram aka Mr. 8 nodded. Yes, that would be most wise. I don't know why we wasted out supplies on them. We should have captured them when they first came into the bay, said Miss Wednesday. Well no, cough cough. Ma point in arguing. Now that it's done, just round them up. Well, I thought I smelled something fishy and I was right, right Naruto? Everyone looked up to see Zoro standing on top of a building with his left leg propped up on the ledge as he rested his right hand on his white sword. Naruto was sitting on the ledge of the building with his left leg hanging down and the other on the ledge so he could rest his right hand on it. The giant moon was directly above them, illuminating them in a way that made them look, for lack of a better word, badass. Well, to be honest, I think that smell might just be your upper lip, Zoro. Zoro gained a tick mark at this and stared down at his friend. But yay, you were right. So Baroque Works, huh? Kinda shitty name if you ask me. Zoro nodded his head. Boy, you guys still going by those dumb code names? Hearing growls, he assumed the answer was yes. Well, looks like me and you get to have some fun, Naruto? As he looks down at Naruto, only seeing his evil grin since his head was covering the rest of his face. Nope, you're on your own, Zoro. This got a shocked look from all of the Baroque Works agents and Zoro. HMPF. Fine, not like I need your help anyway, Whiskers. Naruto's eyes seemed to twitch at the name. Well, you're going to fight all of them blindfolded. It's time to see just how well you've come along in your observation haki. Zoro's eyes widened a bit before he smirked and pulled his bandana from his arm and wrapped it so it was a blindfold. Well, let's get started. Zoro then jumped down as he charged all of the bounty hunters. He pulled all of his swords out and began decimating their forces. Naruto looked down smiling as he felt a presence behind him. He turned and looked see Miss Wednesday. His face changed suddenly serious as he then used Soru and appeared behind the now identified Miss Wednesday as he grabbed her by the throat and lifted her off the ground. Now I'm only going to ask this once, and if you lie you're going to die here and now. Are you Vivi Nefertiti, Princess of Arabasta? Naruto asked with a look that could pierce your very soul. Miss Wednesday was now scared out of her mind as she slowly nodded. Naruto loosened his grip a bit. Why are you really here, Princess? Naruto asked. Vivi was about to respond when a loud explosion went off, catching their attention. Naruto looked over to see Zoro panting slightly with his clothes charred and his bandana around his head instead of around his eyes. Naruto looked to see two people in front him. One was black guy that seemed to be picking his nose. The other was woman with umbrella and a yellow hat on. That's Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine. Why, you have to help your friend, he's going to be killed, Vivi said with a scared look on her face. Naruto just yawned. Nah, Zoro can handle those two chumps anyway. Back to Naruto. What's going on and what is Miss Wednesday doing here? Naruto turned to see Luffy walking with Nami. Well, this is actually Princess Vivi of Arabasta. Naruto said as Luffy went wide-eyed. That's SOOOOCOOOL. Luffy yelled as Zoro jumped up onto the roof holding a beaten-up Igaram. Yo, those two were looking for Miss Wednesday they saw. Yay, we already know Zoro. Nami cut in. Now what the hell is a princess doing inside a organization like Baroque Works? Nami asked, curious their situation. A couple minutes later and a huge sob story, we find Igaram on the ground bowing, asking for the SHP help. Yay, sure, we'll take you to Arabasta, Luffy said in a calm tone. Of course we'll be getting a nice reward for this, right? Nami said as more of a statement then question as Vivi nodded. Just out of curiosity, you said you infiltrated Baroque Works, then you should know who the leader is, right, Mr. Zero? Luffy asked. Vivi shook her head. No, I could never tell you that. Crocodile of the 7 warlords of the sea would never let you live. Just then Nami began shaking Vivi back forth, yelling why she couldn't just shut her mouth and now they would be hunted. It all stopped as everyone heard laughing coming from Naruto as he had tears in his eyes. No way, you mean Captain Hook is running all this? Oh, this is just too much. Naruto began to calm down as he looked at Vivi, who was shocked at his reaction. Why are you laughing? Vivi asked, confused. Naruto just smiled. Ah, that was a good laugh. Well, the reason it's funny is cause I've already whipped the floor with Crocodile once. Naruto grinned as he saw the look on Vivi's face. What, you beat Crocodile before? Naruto nodded as Nami stared wide-eyed along with Zoro. Luffy wasn't all that surprised since he figured Naruto should be able to beat most of the current 7 warlords of the sea. Naruto looked up and grabbed his chin and smiled. Yup, it was back when I was with the Whitebeard pirates. We had a run-in with him and Pops told me to fight him as test. I of course beat the shit out of him, not to say he didn't get a couple good licks in on me, but I'm definitely more than a match for him. Vive just stared wide-eyed. This was ridiculous. Just then they heard flapping and saw the unluckies flying away, the bird and whatever the hell that other thing is that draw the pictures. Well, he's gonna know. We know now. Let's get going to Arabasta. Zoro, go grab Sanji and Usopp. Zoro nodded as he ran off to get them. Princess Vivi, the first I'm going to go as a disguise and try to be a diversion, Igaram said as he was in a rather ugly-looking version of Vivi's outfit. I wish you the best of luck, Princess, Igaram said as he walked away to docks. After a quick get-together of the crew and Usopp and Sanji crying about staying, they began to set sail. Only to see an explosion in the distance. Vivi's eyes grew wide. That was Igaram's ship. She shouted in panic. Everyone looked on in awe at the destruction of the ship. Before anything else happened, Zoro, Luffy and Naruto all turned to the railing of the 2nd floor as they looked at the lady sitting there. Well, those were some interesting fireworks, huh? The mystery lady said. Well, I didn't think I would be seeing Nico Robin working with Crocodile. This is truly surprising. Naruto said with a grin that was returned by Robin. Wish I knew your name, handsome, but I'm on company time so I can't dilly-dally for too long. To make things short, she threw an eternal log post at Naruto as he caught it that said Drum Drum on it. That's an eternal log post to Drum Drum Island. It'll take a while for the Baroque Works agents to catch up to you if you skip ahead to that island. Naruto nodded, not sensing any lies. Well, I'm off. I hope I see you around, handsome. Robin then winked at Naruto as he smirked, which for some reason lit a fire under Nami. Then Robin jumped of the boat onto a giant turtle and began to float away. Captain, I could sense she was telling the truth. I think we should use this, Naruto said as Luffy nodded. Well, let's go. Naruto looked at Nami and Sanji as the crew began their voyage to Drum Drum Island. Oi, Nami, Sanji, I think it's time for some training, Naruto said, with an evil glint in his eye. You'll both be training in armament hockey since you use that staff. Nami, we're gonna focus on your hands. Sanji, it's pretty obvious though, we're gonna work on your legs. So let's get started. This is where I skip the whole Tony Chopper arc as I just don't feel like writing it. If you wanted to see it, sorry, but we're just gonna take a skip toward Arabasta. So this is Arabasta, pretty hot, Sanji said looking to Nami and Vivi. We need to get some clothes for the desert, Vivi stated as the weighed anchor. Yay, no doubt, Naruto said as he walked out and looked around. Hey, where's Luffy? Food? Luffy yelled as he ran off into the city. Well, there goes our hopes of going unnoticed, Naruto sighed out, shaking his head. Nami came up next to him and put a hand on his shoulder. Don't worry Naruto, we'll all be fine. She stood on her tiptoes and kissed him on the cheek, much to the frustration of Sanji as he glared at his fellow blonde, but quickly let it go as he saw Nami walking away off the ship. Naruto just stood there looking around. Hey, I'm just gonna stay on the ship in case some marine spot it or something. He yelled to the retreating form his crewmates. Naruto then made a dark hammock and large overcast from the second level of the ship for shade. This I could get used to this, Naruto said as he laid back. Don't get too comfortable kid, I feel like something is coming soon, so keep your guard up, said Kurama. Naruto mentally nodded and dozed off. Sometime later, Naruto was shocked out of his sleep by the loud screaming of voices. He turned his head and looked out to the town to see the crew running towards the ship screaming at him. Huh? Naruto began to get annoyed as he could not hear their shouts. He quickly did a swipe of his hand and black portal appeared beneath them, sucking them in and spitting them out onto the ship. Everyone looked around while Zoro was screaming like a girl, while everyone stared at him. Screw you guys, he screamed and began getting the ship ready to sail. What's going on? Naruto grabbed Nami and asked before she could begin to shout out orders. That smoker guy was here and he tried to get us, but Luffy's brother Ace came and stopped him for us, Nami replied and went on to begin shouting orders. Ace is here. What the hell is he doing so far from Whitebeard's main crew? Naruto internally asked himself, not expecting to get an answer. I'm also curious what could cause Ace to travel this far. Something serious must have happened. Naruto grimly nodded, agreeing with his inner demon. Sanji caught this, wondering what he was doing. Oi Naruto, are you okay? He asked, a bit concerned at his crewmate's grim expression. Yay Sanji, I'm wondering why Ace would be this far away from Whitebeard's main force. Sanji nodded and got to his station as they began to sail off. Hey, there's Luffy. What's he? Aw shit. And just then Luffy crashed into Zoro. She, that was fun. Everyone looked at Luffy. So that's Ace, huh? Seems really powerful, Zoro stated, and everyone nodded along. Yay, but I'm still stronger than him. Just then Ace jumped onto the ledge to see everyone and knock Luffy down. Who's stronger than who? Ace laughed as he looked around at everyone and sat on the railing. His eyes then stopped on Naruto, who was staring intently at him, and he knew exactly why. Their stare down was interrupted by 5 billion ships showing up to try and capture them. Zoro, take care of this, Naruto said calmly. Zoro nodded and got into a set stance so he could slash his sword across. When he did, he used his haki along with the slash as all the billions ship were sliced in half and began to fall apart and sink. Zoro was painting slightly but regained his bearings after a minute. Ace, what are you doing here? Luffy asked, excited to see his brother. Ace's face grew serious, which caused everyone else to go on edge. Ace stared directly at Naruto. I'm hunting a former member of my crew named Edward D. Teach. He killed a comrade of mine named Thatch. Naruto's eyes widened as memories started flowing of Thatch and Teach. Why? Naruto shouted, as everyone looked at him, then back to Ace. Thatch acquired the Yami no Mi, and Teach was waiting for a chance to get that one fruit. And he took it by stabbing Thatch in the back and running. So now I'm hunting him down. Everyone was looking at Ace until there was a sickening aura in the air that seemed to choke everyone. The skies seemed to darken and rumble as the waves began to churn, as if God himself was pissed. They then turned to see Naruto's hat covering his eyes. You could see the stream of tears coming down his face when thinking back to his older brother-like figure and realizing how he had been betrayed and killed. He then looked up to Ace with demon red eyes and darkness pouring off of him. Ace, Naruto said with a demonic tint to his voice, shocking everyone on the crew and Ace himself. If you don't find him before I do, there won't be anything left to find, Naruto shouted as he walked off of the second level and down to lower levels of the ship. Soon the skies cleared up and waters began to calm as everyone stared wide-eyed in power they all just felt coming from their comrade and friend. Baroque Works HQ. When will you be here, boy? It's about time I get revenge for this scar you left me with. It had been about half an hour since Naruto's declaration to destroy Teach. While things were fine above deck since Ace and everyone were playing games, below deck Naruto was dealing with his first death of one of his few precious people. Nami began to get worried as time passed and decided to go see if she could help him in any way. Walking down the steps, she saw Naruto sitting up against the wall while on a bed made of darkness with one knee up, the other down, while his arms were crossed over his chest and his hat just tilted over his face so you could barely make out his mouth. She decided to use direct approach, walked up and climbed onto his lap. Naruto-kun, are you okay? I know how it feels to lose someone close to you, so before she could. Naruto had embraced her in tight hug. As his hat fell back, he began to shed tears for his older brother type figure on Nami's chest. Nami slowly began running her fingers through Naruto's hair and gently whispering words of encouragement to him. After some time, Naruto leaned back looking up at Nami as she began to wipe what little tears he had. Thanks Nami-chan, I needed that," he said as he hugged her again. Nami smiled and kept running her hands through his hair. "I'm always here for you, Naruto-kun. How about we get some sleep? You look like you could use some." Naruto nodded and went to lay down. You're sleeping in my room," Nami said with a grin as Naruto nodded and followed her. Naruto saw the bed and took his hat off, laying it on the table, and falling into bed with Nami following and landing on top of his chest. After a couple of minutes they were both asleep for the remainder of the night. Next morning, Naruto began to wake up due to the shifting weight on top of his chest. He looked down to see two light brown orbs staring right back at him. "Well, good morning Nami-chan, sleep well?" Nami smiled and nodded cutely. "Has anyone ever told you, you make a great pillow?" Naruto laughed a bit before saying, "Nope, but has anyone ever told you, that you have most beautiful hair in world?" Naruto said with a smile. Nami shook her head no with a blush on her cheeks. "I think we should get ready, we should be arriving where we're going to be setting off on foot in a couple hours." Naruto nodded as he and Nami got up and ready for the day. Nami put on a white and red t-shirt and some red short shorts and quickly went above deck. Naruto put on some beige khaki shorts with white belt. He also got a dark purple button-up shirt that had black flames at the bottom with sleeves that went to his forearms. Although he kept it open most of the time, showing off his 8-pack. It's one piece. Apparently anybody who's anybody must have an 8-pack. And just because it was more comfortable that way, he sent some chakra into a seal on his hat and turned it dark purple instead of black. I think that's a pretty simple seal, and plus who's gonna wear a black hat like that in the middle of the desert? Naruto decided to put his pistol on his right side and sealed up his sword on his wrist. Naruto began walking up to the deck. Naruto looked around to see everyone lounging about doing their normal things. He then saw Ace was talking with Vivi a little too friendly and took a mental image for some blackmail material. Naruto walked up to his captain, who was sitting on the goat head of the Going Merry. "Luffy, I assume you want to fight Crocodile when we meet up with him?" Luffy nodded his head and shared a smile with Naruto, who just laughed. "I figured you would, but you should know he ate the Suna no Mi so he can turn to sand. If he gets a grip on you, he'll suck all of the water out of your body, which would basically kill you. Got it?" Receiving another nod, Naruto continued. "I know water is his weakness because if he gets wet he won't be able to turn into sand and will be forced to be solid. I don't know if other liquids will work, but that's how you could beat him if you don't want to use your haki. I'm sure you could handle him without that tip, but it's better to be safe than sorry." Naruto then turned and started walking over to Sanji, who was crying on the ground. Naruto leaned down and put a hand on his shoulder. "Yo Sanji man, what's wrong?" Sanji turned and pointed to Nami and Vivi. They don't have their beautiful clothes on anymore and they're all covered up," Sanji said while crying. Naruto just laughed and patted him on the shoulder. "Yay, but if they don't cover up, their beautiful skin will burn in the desert. You don't want that, do you?" Sanji quickly shook his head no, then realized what Naruto was wearing. Why aren't you fully covered up?" Naruto just laughed. "Oh, that I can heal extremely fast, so even if I did get burned it would heal up the second it happened. As long as it's just sun rays and not the human fireplace over there who burns me." Naruto said with a laugh as said, "Human fireplace," twitched at hearing that. "Oi, at least I don't go psycho over ramen foxboy." Naruto had a vein throbbing on his head. "Nothing's wrong with loving ramen, it's the food of the gods, you flame brain." With that, Naruto jumped at Ace and started a very comical wrestling match, with both coming out of it huffing and puffing. "Hey Nami, can we stop here for a sec? I want to send Kurama off so he can deliver a message to my father." Nami nodded as they dropped anchor and let Vivi send whatever message she needed to her father. After that they set sail for a little while until coming to a stop by some rocks. Okay, so who's gonna be the pack mule for all of this stuff? Everyone looked at Luffy. Wah? No way. Naruto walked up to all the supplies. Easy everyone, I got this. Everyone watched Naruto place the things on a small scroll one at a time, disappearing into the scroll. Everyone was wide-eyed except for Ace, who had seen this done already. What is that? Usopp asked in amazement. That's just a sealing scroll. A technique I use to seal up a large amount of things so I don't have to lug around 200 extra pounds. I could probably adjust it so you guys could do it, just give me a sec. After a minute or so, Naruto tossed the scroll to Sanji. Alright, to unseal things just channel Haki into it, poof, the things will appear. Now let's get a move on. After going across the first sand dune there was town, that looked like it was buried halfway up in sand. What is this place? Nami looked to Vivi, who turned around to look at them. Take a good look around everyone. This used to be the known far and wide as the City of Green. This is what Baroque Works has been doing to my country and its people. As they kept walking, Vivi began to explain how Crocodile set the king up to fall and how he started to frame him so it looked like the king was stealing the rain from his own people. Once they reached the edge of the town, Naruto stopped to look around. So it's nothing but desert from here on out, huh? Vivi just nodded and Naruto smiled. Well, I don't feel like walking, Sue. Naruto just trailed off as he put his hand on top of the sand. In front of them a giant black portal opened up. Slowly a gigantic scorpion appeared from the portal. On the back of the scorpion was what looked to be a huge tent, easily as large as the top deck of the Going Merry. Everyone, even Ace, was little wide-eyed at the creature he just made. Naruto could only smirk as he wrapped an arm Nami's hips and jumped up onto the scorpion. Ace followed with Vivi, much to the annoyance of Sanji, but let it go quickly. After everyone was on the giant scorpion, Naruto made chairs and other things to sit around a dark fire pit for later on in the night. Naruto sat down, pulling Nami onto his lap and keeping his left arm around her waist. Once everyone started to get situated, the scorpion began to walk across the desert. After a couple hours, Vivi smiled at Naruto. Wow, thanks to this we'll cut our traveling time down by more than half. She said as she sat down next to Ace. Naruto just scratched the back of his head. Yay, it's one of my many talents, I guess, thanks to my devil fruit power. Sanji then turned to Naruto. Speaking of which, what exactly is your devil fruit power? Everyone turned their head as Ace just smirked, listening to this, knowing full well what his powers are. Well, I guess you could say I control almost all types of darkness in a sense. Usopp decided to speak up. Wait, so like shadows? Naruto just smirked. In a way, but not actual shadows. That power goes to Gecko Mariah, another one of the 7 warlords of the seas. I am more or less the psychical embodiment of darkness. Naruto said as he stretched his right arm out and it got covered in darkness up to his elbow with a visible dark aura coming off. Everyone just stared at it for a second before Nami began inching a finger towards the dark arm, much to Naruto's entertainment. Once her hand touched it, she realized it was kind of smooth. Naruto turned it back to normal and smiled as Nami pouted a bit. So what happens once we reach Yuba? We tell the rebels of Croxy's plan, and then what? Naruto looked at Vivi for an answer. Well, yes, that's the plan. I personally know the leader of the rebellion. You see, when he and I were young. If you don't know their story, then YouTube it or something. So yes, I think they will listen to me. Why? Vivi asked back. Well, I think you should have a backup plan. If I was Crocodile, I would probably put some men into the rebellion, and knowing Crocky, he probably has someone high in the ranks of the rebellion under his thumb. Vivi's eyes widened, not having thought of that before. Luckily for you, I'm here and I can sense the darkness in people's hearts thanks to my power. So I'll be able to draw out all the agents. What you need to focus on is stopping the rebellion and stopping your soldiers from attacking the rebellion. We're all gonna be busy fighting, so as of now, you, Naruto pointed to Ace, are in charge of keeping Vivi safe. Ace began sputtering. What? I'm hunting Teach, I can't get roped into this. Ace shouted and stood up, looking at Naruto. Ah, shut up, Ace, you know you want more time with Vivi, and on top of it, I'm not about to let you take out Teach without me, so you better get used to the idea of hanging with us. I'm sure my captain wouldn't mind stopping at places where there have been sighting of Teach if I offer him some meat, Naruto said as Luffy's eyes went wide. Yup, no problems here as long as I get meat. Luffy shouted as everyone's sweat dropped at his one-tracked mind. Ace sighed, this is such a mess, but on the upside he did get a chance to spend more time with the princess. Fine, I'll stick with you guys at least until we find Teach, then I'll have to get back to my crew," he said as he sat down next to Vivi as he put his arms on top of the dark couch type thing they were sitting on. "Well, everyone should get some sleep since it's getting dark. Ace, can you light the fire please?" Vivi asked in cute voice. Ace smiled at her and shot fire at the wood in the little fireplace. "Where did they get the wood from, you ask? Well, I'll tell you. It doesn't matter where they got from. Once almost everyone was asleep, Naruto and Ace went to the head of the scorpion to talk to each other. So if Teach isn't in Arabasta, where do you think he would turn up next?" Naruto asked as he stared out into the open desert. "Not sure. Rumor has it that he's becoming a bounty hunter, so once you get your bounties up I'm sure we'll be running into him soon." Naruto nodded. It sounded like a sound plan. It wasn't like Teach knew that the SHC would be on the lookout for him. "On to another note, I think I'm gonna tell everyone my full story." Ace raised his eyebrows a bit. "Well, it's your choice, one that I actually agree with, especially since that fox probably wants to get out and stretch his legs a bit." Naruto smiled and nodded. "What you think, Kurama, you want out?" Sure, I've slept more than enough in here, plus I wouldn't mind getting friendly with that Nami chick. You were right when you said her hair was beautiful." Kurama laughed as Naruto mentally shook his head, muttering about a perverted fox. He then went through some hand signs, and with a poof, a nine-tailed orange-furred fox stood there the size of a large dog. Ace was surprised that Naruto decided to just up and summon the demon fox he had been told about. "Wait, I thought you said he was the size of mountain?" Kurama looked at Ace. "Well, I could be, but I don't see any need to be my full size right now, do you?" Kurama said in a smart ass-like tone. Ace just looked away, muttering something about asshole foxes. "Take it easy, Kurama, let's all go get some sleep," Naruto said. Kurama looked irritated and followed both of them. Naruto sat down next to Nami and put an arm around her and fell asleep. Ace did the same with Vivi. Kurama just curled into ball by Naruto's feet and went to sleep. Next morning, Naruto woke up to some Nami poking him on the chest gently. Naruto, I don't know if you know this, but there is a giant fox with 9 tails by your foot," Nami said, slightly freaked out. "I'll explain when everyone wakes up," he said as he rubbed his eyes. Naruto waited for everyone to wake up and gathered them all around with Kurama sitting next to him. "So I've been thinking, since I plan being with this crew for the rest of my foreseeable future, I thought I should let you guys know my full story." When Naruto said that, everyone got quiet as Naruto went through his childhood, if you could call it that, to meeting up the crew. During the time it took about 3 hours to tell his whole story. At the end, everyone was bit shocked at what he had endured at the hands of his village and about the demon fox. Towards the bad parts, most of the crew was pissed that their friend had to go through such things as a child. Vivi and Nami, on the other hand, were in tears on the more gruesome parts of his past. Finally speaking up, Zoro looked at Kurama. "Wait, if you said he was giant, then why is he the size of a dog?" Kurama sighed, looking at Zoro. "Because there is no need for me to be in that form, but since you fools keep asking, I'll show you." Kurama then jumped off the scorpion and turned into his full size, easily dwarfing the size of the scorpion. "There, are you happy now?" Kurama's deep voice boomed out. Everyone could only nod dumbly at the sheer size of the beast before them. Kurama then shrunk and jumped back to Naruto's side. "Wait, you said he could heal you with his chakra, could that be used to heal other people?" asked Chopper. "Unfortunately no, the only reason Kurama can heal my wounds so easily is because he was sealed in me as a newborn infant. If he were to put his chakra on any of you, it would most likely give you third-degree burns." "Ah, that's too bad. The way you said you could heal would be great for the crew," Chopper said with a frown. Naruto looked sadly at Chopper as they kept on their way towards Yuba. At Rain Base. Come on. What's taking our boss so long to get here anyway? I got thing to do, yay no, said a rather short fat lady who happened to be Baroque Works' Ms. Merry Christmas. "You should just calm down and wait, I'm sure he'll be here soon." After all, of Baroque Works agents are required to be efficient when it comes to time management, said Mr. 3. "Oh, how correct you are, Mr. 3. Said the voice of Nico Robin, walking down from the steps and began walking to the far end of the long table. "The boss, in fact, is already here. I thank all of you for showing up on such short notice, but things have gotten into quite a mess," Crocodile said with an amused voice as he turned around to see the look on all his subordinates' faces. "Sir Crocodile? One of the 7 warlords of the sea is our boss?" said Mr. 1. Yes, it's time we move along with our final operation. Operation Utopia, Crocodile said in an eerie tone. Wait a second, why do you need an organization like Baroque Works if you're one of the 7 warlords of the sea? Said Miss Doublefinger. Allow me to explain myself. What I seek is not gold or riches but military power itself. You see, once we have taken over Arabasta, we be able to find out where the ancient weapon Pluton is. The legendary battleship capable of destroying entire islands in minutes. Once we have acquired the ship, the rebels and the king's army will have no other option than to bow to us. Once this happens, Baroque Works will be the rulers of Arabasta. Crocodile finished by having Robin hand out letters to everyone. In these letters you will have all you need to know about your missions. Until it's time to start the plan, why don't you go enjoy yourselves, he said as everyone began walking out. SHC and Yuba. The giant scorpion slowly began letting the crew down onto the sand. Well, we made it at least, but this place looks deserted, said Sanji. No, young lad, it's not deserted, not just yet, spoke a old voice. Everyone turned their heads to see a skinny old man walking out from a huge hole dug in the sand. Vivi's eyes widened at the face of the old man. Toto? What happened here? This is Vivi's old friend's dad, Luffy asked. Please come in, I'll explain everything to you. Vivi nodded and followed Toto inside. The crew followed as well. Inside, Toto explained that the rebels were in Nanohana and that they were planning their final strike on Alubarna very soon. What? So what do we do now? Shouted Usopp. Well, it's pretty simple really. While Vivi, Kurama and Ace go to Nanohana and stop the rebels, we're going to head to Baroque Works HQ and destroy them. Pretty simple actually, Naruto said with a smirk. Oh, and if the rebels don't listen, just let Ace and Kurama handle them. Got it? Wait, how are we supposed to get there in time? Yuba is all the way across the desert. It would take at least 5 days to get there, and that's by that scorpion? Questioned Vivi, only to see everyone grin. What? Did you think giant scorpions was the only thing I could make? Haha, nah, come on, you 3 got to leave right now if you want to get to Nanohana in time. Naruto said as he walked outside, followed by everyone else. He then put his hand to the ground with a smile as large black hole appeared and out came a giant eagle. Take whatever you need and hold on tight, cause this bad boy will have to Nanohana in 2 days flat, so get going. Naruto smiled as Ace and Kurama got on top of the eagle. Vivi turned around to the rest of the crew. I can't thank you all enough for what you've done and are still doing for me and my country. Without you, sniff sniff, I wouldn't have made it this far, she said with tears streaming down her eyes as everyone just smiled at her. Don't worry Vivi, that's what friends are for. We'll see each other back at Alubarna once this is all over and we've won. Got it? Luffy said with a thumbs up and gave one of his big goofy smiles. Alright, I'll see you guys there, Vivi said as she got on top of the eagle and it took off at high speeds. Well, we should be going to, if we have some luck we can catch all of the Baroque Works agents at the HQ in Rainbase, Naruto said as he began walking towards the dark scorpion. Luffy turned around as he was walking. Hey old man, keep digging, I am sure you'll find water soon. Luffy smiled and jumped onto the scorpion as it took off towards Baroque Works HQ. So how we gonna do this? Luffy's face became a bit more serious. I don't care what you guys do, but Crocodile's mine. You all can pick off whichever Baroque Works agents come your way. Everyone nodded and Naruto smiled at it. I like simple and easy to remember. The scorpion began running across the desert. Next day at Baroque Works HQ. Well then, it's about time everyone get going, Crocodile said as the agents began walking outside of the casino, only to see 6 people and 1 deer on the bridge in a line-up. Oi Crocky, it's been a while, how's that scar old buddy, shouted our blonde-headed hero. All the Baroque Works agents looked at this new guy in awe at the balls he had. Naruto, Crocodile shouted as dashed forward, turning half of his body to sand only to get halfway there before a hockey inkazed fist smashed into his face, sending him flying away. Get back her Crocodile, Luffy yelled as jumped toward the direction he flew in, leaving the rest of the Straw Hats versus the Baroque Works agents. Well, seems we're outnumbered, not that it matters, might as well have some fun with this, Zoro said as he charged at Mr. 1. At Nanohana. Alright men, move out, shouted Koza. Before anyone could, however, a wall of flames 3 miles high and 2 miles long shot down from the sky, stopping them in their tracks. What is that? Look in the sky, it's a bird, shouted some of the rebel soldiers. As soon as they saw it, the bird came down and landed in front of the rebel leader Koza. Koza, stop this, my father has been set up. Koza looked as though he'd seen a ghost. Vivi then jumped off the bird along with Ace. Vivi? What are you talking about? He stuttered out. Come on, no one cares about her, let's just go, said one of the undercover Baroque Works billions. Sure, go on ahead as long as you guys think you can get past him, Ace said with a shrug and pointed his thumb behind him as the flames disappeared to reveal a full-sized Kurama in all his orange furry glory. Yes, it's been quite some time since I had a meal this large. Whoever passes Vivi and Ace will become my meal. That is, unless you feel like you can take me, said Kurama as he took a step forward, which shook the ground, knocking some men off their horses. With that, everyone, even the Baroque Works billions, stopped dead in their tracks, not about to test out if the giant fox was serious or not. Listen to me, my father has been framed, I swear to you. Koza, if our friendship ever meant anything to you, please just listen to what I have to say now, Vivi pleaded. Even though Kurama was there to back him up, Ace on the other hand was ready to unleash his strongest attacks. He knew he was strong, but taking on an army of 7 million wasn't something even he could do easily. Koza then let out a sigh and got off of his horse. Alright, I'll hear you out. Vivi jumped for joy at this and began explaining the whole situation. Back with Luffy. Damn you, Straw Hat, I'm going to kill you, and then that bastard Naruto is next, Crocodile said with a sneer. Desert Spada, Crocodile shouted as a thin blast of sand cut through the ground towards Luffy, who lazily sidestepped it. As it continued on, it cut through multiple buildings. He then let out a sigh and laughed. Wow, I thought you had to be strong to be one of the 7 warlords, but I guess they'll let any weaklings in, huh? Rahhhh, you remind me too much of that bastard Naruto, now you die. Sables, Crocodile shouted as he threw 3 different sand tornadoes as Luffy thought stretched his arms, grabbing the top of building and launched himself onto the other side away from the small tornadoes and Crocodile. Running away, Straw Hat. He was cut off as 2 hands barreled through a building and grabbing onto his jacket. Get over here, Luffy shouted as he pulled Crocodile through the building, then tossed him through another one, causing giant holes in each of the buildings. Luffy was about to continue until metal bars smacked him into a building. Straw Hat, I don't know what your beef with Crocodile is, and I don't care, I'm Bree. Smoker was cut off as a hand made of sand slammed him into a wall and held him there. I don't care why you're here, Smoker, but you're in my way of killing Straw Hat, and that just can't happen, Crocodile said as he appeared from the building he'd been thrown into, looking bloodied and bruised. Crocodile. Gum Gum Bazooka, Luffy shouted as 2 hands slammed into Crocodile's stomach, making him cough up blood and sending him flying back into another building, but making this one collapse due to the impact. I don't have time for this, Smokey. I promised Vivi that I would take Crocodile down, since Crocodile is the leader of Baroque Works and has been trying to destroy the kingdom of Arabasta. So stay out of my way or you're next, Luffy said in a serious demeanor. Smoker only got pissed at this and got up. Fine with me. I'm taking you both in to hang you and bring him in for questioning, so it doesn't matter to me, he said as he dashed forward, trying to swing at Luffy with his sea stone bar sword. Only for Luffy to duck and receive a gut-wrenching kick, but before he was set back he managed to swing his sword back and smack Luffy across the face, making him slide back. Ground death, came Crocodile's voice from the rubble as all of the surrounding area began turning to sand. Luffy and Smoker both jumped back away from the affected area. Both of you are dead, Crocodile yelled as he charged at the 2. Luffy grinned to himself. Gear second, steam started coming off of him. Luffy then lashed out with strong kick that hit Smoker in the face, sending him through multiple buildings. The speed and power behind the kick surprised Crocodile, but before he could do anything Luffy disappeared, then reappeared behind him and smashed his hand into the back of his head. Luffy then smashed his head into the ground and began dragging Crocodile across the ground while running, until he let his arms stay there and his body kept going. Luffy then jumped on top of a building that wasn't turned to sand and let his arm come back to him with Crocodile in tow. Luffy threw Crocodile high into the air. Once Crocodile was at his highest point, Luffy shot his arms up into the air, grabbing onto his ankles. Gum Gum Powerbomb, Luffy yelled as Crocodile came down at a ridicule speed, slamming into the ground, creating a crater at least 10 feet deep and 30 feet wide all around. Crocodile's face was blank, although a slight expression of pain could be noted. Luffy saw Crocodile was done for, decided to get out before Smoker came back and disappeared using his gear second speed. He ended up back at the casino that was Baroque Works HQ only to see Mr. 1, Mr. 2 and Miss Doublefinger all on the ground beaten up and blooded. "Oi Luffy, about time you got here. These chumps were barely a challenge at all," said Sanji with a beaten-up face, a couple of marks on him. "Hey, I remember there were more of them than this. What happened to M?" Luffy asked. "Oh well, apparently these waters right here have banana crocodiles in M, and well, the other kinda fell in and got eaten," said Nami with a kind of sick look on her face seeing the people eaten alive. Naruto just put an arm on Nami's shoulder and gave her a reassuring smile. "That Nico Robin chick said she'd be seeing us around after she finished some business of hers. She even told us of Crocodile's plan and where a bomb is hidden, although the information came a price," Naruto said in a laugh. "Oh, what kind of price?" Luffy asked with curious look on his face. "Well, she made me agree to letting her joining the crew, and if you weren't okay with it then I have to convince you, hee." Naruto laughed as he scratched the back of his head. Luffy just stared at him blankly for a minute. "Ah, sure, why not?" The whole crew minus Naruto face dropped at this and began yelling at the captain, who in turn just laughed at all of it. "Well, we should be heading to Arabasta now since Crocodile is done with, and so are his agents, I guess," Luffy said as the others nodded along with him. "Naruto, think you can make some more birds?" Naruto nodded and put his hand on the ground as 3 giant owls came out of the ground. He then picked Nami up bridal style and jumped onto their owl. The others followed as the birds took off into the sky. In a lubarna inside the palace a couple days later, Koza, the king, Vivi, Ace and the whole SHC were sitting around a table having a feast. "Wow, this stuff is great," said Luffy while stuffing his face with more meat. "Yeah, he's right. Do you think I could get some of these recipes, please?" asked Sanji, who got a nod from one of the servants. "Thank you all so much for this. Without you I don't know what could have happened. We are truly forever in your debt," said the king with a short bow of his head. "No problem, all the meat you're giving us is paying off your debt in full," Luffy said while stuffing his face some more only to get laughs from everyone. Later on when everyone was asleep, "Igaram, can you believe this? There's even one for Vivi," the king said as he spread out the papers. Straw Hat Luffy 120 million berry. Naruto the Necromancer 85 million berry. Roronoa Zoro 60 million berry. Black Leg Sanji 50 million berry. Princess Vivi 42 million berry. Long Shot Usopp 40 million berry. Cat Burglar Nami 35 million berry. Later in the morning, "Awesome," Luffy shouted out as he looked at his bounty only to be punched in the head by Nami. "You idiot, do you have any idea how hard it's going to be moving around unnoticed now, and poor Vivi has one for being with us," Nami said as everyone looked to Vivi, who just smiled. "Don't worry guys, I'll be fine, trust me." Just then the king walked in and looked at Luffy. "Monkey D. Luffy, I know it's wrong but I must ask of you one more thing before you leave." Luffy then raised his eyebrows at that. "Huh?" The king then got on his knees and bowed to him. "Please, I beg of you, take my Vivi with you. She will not be safe in the palace, so of course she can come along, no problem at all," Luffy yelled out with a smile. The king then smiled and looked towards them all. "You should be heading out soon. I know the Navy will be sending many ships here to try and capture you." Everyone nodded in agreement with him. "But before you do, Vivi darling, please come with me," the king said as he began to walk out. Vivi followed her father to the vault and watched as he went in and came out with a small treasure chest. "Vivi, out of all our numerous treasures this is one of our most precious ones. If you're going to live the life of pirate I want you to be strong, and this will make you one of the strongest." The king slowly opened the chest to reveal a odd light blue looking orange with swirls on it. "Father, I is yes, it is a devil fruit, but not just any. This is the Logia Mizu Mizu no Am I, my darling, and with this you will be able to control the seas and protect your friends. Not only with this give the power to control the seas and turn into water, but since you will be water you will never have to worry about the normal drawback of all devil fruits. You will never be able to drown," he said with a smile. "Please Vivi, you must eat this for me please, it will help me a great deal knowing you have this power to protect yourself with," the king begged with pleading eyes towards Vivi. Vivi only nodded as she picked it up and slowly took a bite of it. After making a horrible contorted face she swallowed it. "So now what?" Vivi asked. The king just shrugged. "Try and focus on your hand or something." Doing so her hand turned to water as she instantly freaked out and made it turn back. "Thank you Vivi," the king said as he hugged his daughter tightly. "Now go, I'm sure the others are ready by now." She nodded and ran towards the SHC. Alright everyone, let's go, Vivi said with a smile as she was startled at being picked up by Ace Bridal Style as he then jumped onto one of the owls that Naruto had made again as they began their flight towards the Going Merry.
That's all for now. If you want to see next part, then please like this video and subscribe my channel. Thank you.